children, I'll tell you the news. Don't worry about the names or dates, you already know it's true. Your doctor hates your baby, the prime minister's a ghost, and all them folks are sailing here 'cause they're in love with boats. Superfoods can save us from all our evil sin. JFK and Elvis own a bar in Wisconsin. Vaccinations were created by the CIA to steal votes from Bernie Sanders and turn your babies gay. So click the link you think you'd like and get tooled for a fight against those lefty fascist communists who are leaning too far right.
Hi, and welcome to Not Another Fake Newscast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jerry. Welcome to the apocalypse.
welcome to. Oh, what's that fucking? That's terrible. What's Johnny's show? Welcome to the Disaster Artists. No, it's not really.
We should do a thing with him. But yeah, www. Oh no, sorry. We are Not Another Fake Newscast.
Yes, www. Our website. Guess who we are? NotAnotherFakeNewscast.com.
That's us. We're Not Another Fake Newscast. If you've not listened to us before, you picked a weird time to start.
What a fucking strange time to start.
But you know, maybe this is exactly what you need in life right now. You can find us on our website at NotAnotherFakeNewscast.com. I realised recently that I've been saying www.notanotherfakenewscast.com every time I've said our website, and that first bit's kind of redundant at this stage, really, isn't it?
I mean, you actually don't even need to type it in. If you just type into the browser notanotherfakenewscast.com, it will just go to the site. You don't have to put www.
So, notanotherfakenewscast.com, that's where you can find us, and we are available on all social media at PGMcast.
Yes, and usually we would do the whole Patreon thing and all that, but I think we're not going to do that at the present moment because keep your fucking money, give it to people who are in need. In the grand scheme of things, we are not in need. Do you know what I mean?
No, not yet. I've not been pumped for my job yet, so
Jerry, and then we'll be doing our Jerry in Need episode. It's like Children in Need, only for one specific Jerry.
Mainly focused on me. Yeah. So yeah, we're. I mean,
exactly, and that's us. Thanks for listening. I mean,
So this month, it's not real.
So from the last time you spoke to us, and we were talking about how be cautious, but in the grand scheme of things, there's not that much to, don't overly concern yourself. Like, don't get yourself worried about the virus. We're now going to retract that and say, fucking worry, run in the streets, God bless them. Not really.
Don't run in the streets. No.
Stay in this. Run out of the streets.
Unless it's your mandatory one-a-day exercise. I don't think actually it's mandatory, because I did read it. Imagine
that. Imagine they were just like, do you know what? Nobody's catching coronavirus, and also you're a shower of fat bastards. Time to get your fucking finger it.
When I read it, you're not allowed to leave your house apart from going for a run. I was like, hold on a minute, Joe, you can't make me exercise.
That's it. It's mandatory exercise. It's brutal. That's the worst part of this enforcement. All the shops are going to be shut, but also fucking get off your arse, you fat bastard.
But yeah, so obviously stuff has become kind of quite surreal, quite scary for a lot of people. Very uncertain times. Economically, very uncertain for people with jobs and stuff. People are worried about their loved ones.
Sorry, I just love the sentence. Economically, things are uncertain for people with jobs. people without jobs, even economically, it's pretty much the same as it was. Economically, you're just staying in the gaff and you've got the money.
And
sorry, not to belittle that scenario. And we have a big problem in the UK of homelessness and poverty. It's just like we say, you'd be as well having fun.
We can get on later to how this might awaken people to some of our social problems in the UK. But
you mean the socialist uprising that's coming? The socialist uprising that's coming.
The first thing I want to say is that, disclaimer at the top of the show, we do laugh and joke about things. Obviously, we very much understand the gravity of the situation that we currently find ourselves in. people are worried. People are probably going to lose loved ones, or certainly going to be worried about loved ones. People are dying all over the world. It's scary. It's unpleasant. It's sad. It's a whole load of adjectives which are negative. However, we will probably make some jokes around it, because there's a saying up our neck of the woods where if you didn't laugh, you'd greet, and that's
if you don't laugh, you would cry. Just for those who don't know what he just said.
So yeah, don't take it to heart. You know, we're just we're right there with you in terms of how you're feeling about this. But you need to have a laugh about it, don't you? What else is there for it?
On the upside, we can be quite fortunate that it's not enough of a crisis yet that Bob Geldof and Bono have decided to release a fucking song. So that's a bonus.
I would suggest My Corona.
I mean,
My Corona. No?
Nah, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, for numerous reasons. But in saying that though, at the top of the show, something incredibly light. Please tell me you've seen the Imagine video done by people who's like, have you not seen this? Just with your face, you've not seen this. It's fucking amazing. Right, I don't care if we're recording. Jerry, Google. But I must warn you, this is fucking grim, right? So, see Gal Gadot, is that her name? The Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman, yes.
So she got together, I'm not fucking making this up, she got together a whole pile of celebrities to on what is essentially Skype or iMessage or video phone thing, FaceTime, to sing one line each of the song Imagine. Right? It is as bad as you would imagine. It
sounds pretty awful.
Oh no, you've no idea.
I think, I guess if I'm gonna listen to it, then I'll listen to it so that the listeners can also hear it, I suppose. And
he was playing Imagine, and there was something so powerful and pure.
This is too much, Hen.
About this video. And it goes like this. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above the solid sky.
Fucking hell.
Imagine all the people living for today. Yeah, imagine there's no countries.
Who are these cunts?
Nothing they can.
Quite a lot of them are outside as well.
No religion too. Imagine all the people.
Fuck off.
That I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one.
Oh God, when does it end?
Possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed.
Fucking hell, Will Ferrell looks like he's got it.
Of man, sharing all the world.
They're just singing fucking different lines whenever the fuck they want as well. They didn't even put it together in order.
But I'm not the only one. I hope someday.
Is this supposed to fucking inspire me in some way? What is this? What is the point of this? You know what you should do, all you rich fuckers? Just fucking donate a bunch of your money to helping people and fuck off. That was the worst thing I've fucking heard in ages. That was really bad.
So a couple of things. First, what I will say is you should really watch Wonder Woman. It's a very, very good movie. It's a very good movie.
Is there a Wonder Woman film, is there?
Aye, there's Wonder Woman. Actually, so there's a second. Welcome to the fucking weird movie podcast. No, so as we start to talk about this, so there's a second one that's due out, and I believe that it was meant to come out in cinema relatively soon, and they've now said that they're going to put it on digital release, I believe. Now, the consensus from the movie, like the comic book movie geek world fandom, like the people who actually are in the know about such things, is that the movies, no, don't make a face like that. What I mean is people who do this for a living. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know, but what I mean is so you're aware, like, I don't just mean like random comic book fans, like, you know, the movie review websites, type people, but like, so pretty much the consensus is that the movie's not as good as the previous one and actually might stand to do better than have a cinematic release that absolutely flops because the movie's not actually particularly great. And
a second Wonder Woman due to come out soon, was there?
Yes, yeah. And it looks like they're going straight to digital release, or that's what they've been suggesting. And the general consensus is this. Now, this has got nothing to do with our fake news, but it's only because you mentioned it, and the first movie is actually arguably the best movie out of that whole run of the kind of just DC stuff that happened. It's quite a good movie. Now, coming back to this thing, do you not think that was grim as fuck? Like, do you not think that was... So... The thing is, that's like people saying, if you like, do you know what it actually is? This is a dour fucking outlook on life. It's them just making sure that nobody forgets about them. It's them still making themselves relevant during a crisis where
it's just self-indulgent tripe.
It's because they can't be seen. Like, they can't be outseen. They can't be seen in places at the present moment, and they are all. That's really bad. I actually don't mean all, but
they'll be fine. Like, they'll be absolutely fine because they're minted.
Imagine you are minted. You're living in the hills. When I get real sick now, I just get delivered pills.
Yeah. So,
but so that's, and I also seen a quality post about how Harvey Weinstein has caught the coronavirus, and the coronavirus has went into quarantine for 2 weeks, which also amused me.
I mean, like, when I watched that video of Gal Gadot and her various celebrity friends, it did make me think maybe Harvey Weinstein should be let loose again.
Holy shit!
No, that would be awful.
What it does make me think is I hope we're not quarantined for the next fucking 3 months, because if celebrities are creating that level of tripe this early on, imagine what it's going to be like in 3 weeks when all their creativity's dried up and they just like post videos of themselves going, "Remember me? I'm still alive."
Oh, I wish
or
you
they
were.
do Bloodhound Gang.
Oh, now that I would watch. I mean, I'm presuming you mean the Bad Touch, which is like
the Bloodhound Gang.
That's like, it's almost like a public health warning.
Well, I mean, it very much is. Sweat baby.
Yeah.
60 dicks and try. I'm not going to do that because I can see. I'm just realising that we can play the Imagine video, I think, because it was put out and stuff. We probably can't sing the whole of Bloodhound Gang without legally being required to pay the Bloodhound Gang some money.
Oh, well, I can fucking try and get it off us.
Come to Wishy, Bloodhound Gang. There's a feud that I want to start, Jerry. Another fake newscast and the Bloodhound Gang.
We went massively off track already. We've only just started. So
that's good. We're 40 minutes in and people now know the tone.
People know the level of being able to stay on fucking track that they're going to get in this podcast. So we were going to start off with it's the elephant in the room, so we may as well just go straight in, talk about coronavirus, and we'll talk about. I thought
you were going to mention my elephant that I've got in the room. To be honest,
well, you know, we don't want it out there getting coronavirus, so
that's why my elephant lives with me.
Your elephant's in self-isolation. So yeah, we wanted to talk about it for kind of fake news stance. So we were going to talk about some of the major coronavirus myths that have been floating around the internet. Actually, I just thought of another one which we'll need to talk about, Paul. But the ones that we've got written down here, holding breath for 10 seconds. This is been getting shared a lot on social media as a way to diagnose yourself with coronavirus. If you can hold your breath for 10 seconds without it hurting, then you've not got coronavirus, because it's a way of checking if you have fibrosis and scarring in your lungs. Now, first of all, that's not a way to test if you have fibrosis in your lungs. And second of all, coronavirus doesn't give you fibrosis in your lungs. So it's kind of pointless in lots of ways.
It stops you from having the hiccups, though.
Well, actually, you need to hold it for longer than that. But yeah, I mean, I actually think if you think that's going to work, you should hold your breath for ages, like an hour or something, and just fuck off. So yeah, that would be my advice. What is some of the other myths? Have you got this open in front of you, by the way?
Not open in front of me, no, because it's on that computer and not this one. So you've got so not in order, but you've got drinking tons of water because that'll wash the virus into your stomach, which isn't how bodies work.
It'll wash the virus out your throat and into your stomach, where the stomach acid will kill it. So you have to drink water every 15 minutes. Yeah, that's one of the myths that's going around.
I mean, like, you know what? I will say, like, drink loads of water. No, you should drink loads of water anyway because it's good for you. Like,
yeah, that's just good advice. Stay hydrated.
Just good advice. I stay hydrated. Like, especially see if you're dealing with the whole coronavirus, make a point to stay hydrated because you want to keep your body running at optimal efficiency.
But again, if you think drinking water will cure you of the coronavirus or stop you getting coronavirus, just stop drinking water altogether, please. And fuck off.
Because if you actually stop drinking water, that will cure you of the coronavirus.
And it will cure the world of one less idiot. There was kind of various versions of that I've seen as well. Like, it's not just water. I've seen folks saying
water with lemon in it. Water
or tea with lemon and
tea with thyme and honey. Oh, well, it just sounds nice, doesn't it? No. Lemon and everything. Think about it. Lemon and thyme is
maybe lemon thyme.
Lemon and thyme is like lemon thyme. No,
I didn't like. There's thyme and there's lemon thyme. They're two different herbs.
Yeah, I know there is. It's just when you said maybe lemon thyme, I thought you were celebrating some time of the day. Lemon thyme. But no, because lemon and thyme and honey are flavours that you put together if you were like,
cooking a chicken.
Chicken. That's exactly what I was going at. So, I can see how like some green tea with lemon, honey and thyme in it wouldn't be that bad, man.
I've never been eating a chicken and thought, I wish I could drink this.
Have you not?
No.
They're quite tasty. I could drink a chicken.
Chicken soup's all right.
Exactly, that's literally drinking chicken. I mean, that's
it's not, chicken soup's generally not lemony and timey. Maybe a bit timey sometimes, but not lemony.
It could be lemon, honey, and you could have that going on. Like, but
honey and chicken.
Honey and chicken. What do you think that face for?
Yeah, not for me. Maybe like if it's a Chinese, but as we all know, that's where the virus started. We'll get on
Tell me.
China.
China. So tell me you've seen the documentation that kicks about, and I'm not 100%, I've not checked its validity at all, but I've seen stuff that essentially suggests that Trump has got coronavirus crossed out in his speeches in front of him, and China virus is written above it.
Kung flu.
No, but literally China virus is written above it to remind him that when he's saying it, to say something fucking racist. to look in his list of things, just like, see, this says we're maybe going to lock down the country, but it doesn't say fucking racist. How could they make this fucking racist? Oh, well, can't say anything about black people at the present moment because they're in the US and they're also dying. Can't say anything. Oh, Chinese! I'll go with the Chinese people. I've not attacked them in a while. We'll just blame this on Chinese people.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to go to war on China after this. Although I did read a separate article today which was suggesting that when all this is over, the British want an inquiry into the Chinese wet markets, the wet animal markets, where you can buy live animals and stuff, because they believe that kind of trade and that environment is a breeding ground for stuff like this. Yeah.
An argument to say that is possible because, like, certainly it looks like the likes of swine flu and bird flu, recent epidemics have came from that type of environment. So it's not, and there is talk of it possibly coming from the same location.
Yeah, we'll get on to that.
Yeah.
So other myths, there was one that you could make homemade sanitizer by using stuff like vodka and whiskey. This isn't possible because the alcohol content just isn't high enough in drinking alcohol.
If you could get hold of proper Irish poutine, you could probably use it.
you need about 95% alcohol for it to be.
That's what I said. If you could get hold of
Yeah, I mean, I have a bottle kicking around somewhere, I think, and that stuff will kill you. It'll kill you.
You can use it. You can use it to like clean tar off your fucking monoblock. It's just fucking wild.
Use it to burn warts off yourself.
And garlic. Coronavirus is allergic to garlic. Fact.
Eating garlic avoids infection. It's a fucking virus, no a fucking vampire.
So the thing is, the reason that this exists is it's generally well accepted that garlic has some form, but it also has some level of antibacterial qualities. Mm-hmm. So from a homeopathy, that's a fucking made up word. From a homeopathic point of view,
that's a made up thing.
Yeah, I know, but people regularly are like from organic and from lots of people who are heavy into well-being and stuff like that. Garlic is used a lot because much the same way that turmeric is a known anti-inflammatory, garlic is a known antibacterial. That's where that comes from. But think of the sheer quantity. Think of the sheer quantity of garlic you would have to be consuming to get the antibacterial qualities into you.
You'd be reeking.
Or something like this. And you'd be reeking.
Coronavirus would be like, ah, fuck it, hell, man. I'm not going anywhere near that. I think that's how it works. It doesn't work, obviously.
And the other one's silver, isn't it?
Colloidal silver, yeah.
Colloidal silver.
Which is actually fucking just potentially really bad for you. It can cause kidney damage. If you take too much, it can actually turn your skin blue. There's a good video.
Have you seen the video of the guy? The guy looks like fucking Papa Smurf. That shit is baller, man. He looks like Papa Smurf. Like, that man is blue as fuck. Like, see if ever you had thought to yourself, oh, when they're saying blue, I can't really imagine it. Or maybe they say blue and it's a blue tinge. No, it's no. It's like, imagine, like, you seen the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. See when she eats the bubble gum, just before she swells up. Before Violet starts swelling up, she turns that purple colour. He is that colour. That man is fucking purple. Like, he is a deep, dark bluey, purpley. He's a deep purple. Water.
Yeah,
but he's like it's. I can't begin to stress how fucked up it is to see the man, because and he's opted for that. He's opted for that whole white beard thing as well, which makes him look more like Papa Smurf.
Well, actually, I would say he looks like Beast out of the X-Men if he was like an old man, like Beast when he's got into his 60s or something like that, or like Nightcrawler if he'd kind of faded a wee bit as he got older.
Turns out Nightcrawler had like fucking chronic obesity and diabetes. like the guy doesn't look healthy, which is ironic because the reason he was drinking all that silver was to keep himself healthy. I
mean, I worked with a guy who is upset. Like, he's one of the people that's been on my timeline constantly for the past 3 weeks, going on about how this is all a conspiracy and actually there's coronavirus is nothing to worry about. Even at this stage, he's still going, it's fine, this is all a government fucking plan to keep us all locked in our houses and stuff. And he takes colloidal silver every day, and he's a perfect fucking advertisement for how he's just for being a walloper, basically. So if he's taking it, you definitely don't want him.
And also he listens to the show, so just so you know, you're a walloper.
He fucking doesn't he? And if he does, go
you're
fuck
a walloper.
Yeah. I actually reported him to fucking Facebook. I've never done that before, but he was spreading so much misinformation. There were so many people like commenting under it going, fucking hell, that's mental, man. I was like, nah, I can't have this. I'm reporting this guy because he's just spreading fucking nonsense to people. One of the other ones was that the virus can survive on surfaces for up to 1 month. Now, if you look at the window of infectiousness for other viruses, such as similar viruses like SARS and MERS, it's between 2 hours and 9 days. Research on COVID-19 suggests that infectiousness drops off significantly after 72 hours based on the data that we have at the minute. So 1 month is pretty much completely out with the realms of possibility.
Now it is, but I will say there's a caveat to that, to say the CDC in the last day or two had suggested that there was a longer than expected time on the cruise ship. I'm going to call it like the Princess of the Ocean or whatever the fuck it was called. See the cruise ship that they weren't going to, that Trump didn't want to allow back to
Because it was going to fuck up his numbers.
It's going to fuck his numbers. I bet he's fucking raging now. His numbers are fucking shagged. But anyway, that cruise ship, the CDC had suggested that there was a longer incubation time, or I don't know what you would call it, but a longer retention time on surfaces than they expected. But there's still no. But that's a closed environment. It's a fucking closed environment. You know what I mean? Like, because it's a cruise ship, like it's a very closed environment. Like, it's very good at keeping away.
It hasn't been sitting there without anybody on it for as long as a month, so they couldn't possibly know yet.
Well, that's it. So they're just going the idea from people and where they had moved about and stuff like that and that type of stuff. But but they have suggested that it's longer than they thought it was going to be. But still, it's not a month. Right? No. It's what we're getting to with that.
So some of the other things that were going around were that children can't catch coronavirus. So obviously, all age groups can become infected. Most cases so far have been in adults, but children aren't immune to it. Preliminary evidence shows that children are just as likely to become infected, but the good news is that the symptoms do tend to be mild, do tend to be a lot less severe. Most children appear to be asymptomatic carriers of the virus rather than suffering from it. So it's good, obviously, that, our children, our young people certainly ones without pre-existing conditions don't seem to be in a lot of danger from this, but we shouldn't be complacent about that either.
No, we shouldn't. Also, there's some interesting, we'll call them conspiracy theories. They're a bit more substantiated than that, but to do with the way that people are viewing numbers, which is, so in the UK there was a lot of talk of how over 70s are the critical, where it becomes the most critical, like 70s and 80s. It's actually quite bad for over 60s as well. The problem that you've got in the UK is if you start telling people that it's quite bad for over 60s, you've not long told people that are over 60 that they'll have to fucking work. Till they're 68. So the problem is you then take 8 years worth of the workforce that you've told to stay on and work and tell them that they are high risk. So
you shouldn't really be working. You're too old for that shit.
So there's a lot of it's within the government's best interest to focus on numbers in particular ways. You know what I mean? So, all I mean is like when we're talking about like death rates, like when you talk about things like it is a 14%, or it was certainly a 14% more likely to die if you were over 70, but it's still above like 5% for the most part.
5% when you go over 60, whereas it's kind of like 1% or lower in most of the rest of the population now.
Yeah, certainly for children. I think another problem that you have that skew the numbers, and this is an important thing for everybody to remember, that at the moment, like, you're most vulnerable to it when you are like over 60 and 70 and 80. But that means that when the virus first hits, the people who are over 60 and 70, 80 die first. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't kill people who are in their 40s and in their 50s. It just means that the people who are 60, 70, 80 die first. And depending on the length of this, the way that the numbers work, you've had those numbers have hit first, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it will pan out in 3 months' time.
And there has been already cases in Italy, certainly, of like doctors in their 30s dying of this.
I seen a thing that was trying to explain to me that I don't fully understand entirely, to do with levels of exposure and stuff like that, to do with your body not being able to fight it off because you're getting exposed more and more. It all makes kind of sense, but at the same time, I don't know enough about like immunology to be able to actually understand it fully.
No, but I think something that it kind of highlights the importance of is PPE, personal protective equipment. A lot of the hospitals and the hospital staff in the UK haven't had the required level of PPE to be dealing with coronavirus victims or sufferers. And it seems to have been the case, certainly from some of the NHS staff who we've personally spoke to, and wives of our friends and stuff like that who work in the NHS, that they were being asked to work in the wards and being told that they didn't need this level of personal protective equipment. I do think there's certainly evidence to suggest that the government are now taking it a lot more seriously than they were a few weeks ago, and that's something that we'll look at later in the show. But the fact that young fit people without pre-existing health conditions have died from this in Italy is something that we need to be aware of. I'm saying that's not saying that in a scaremongering way. It is obviously people who have been in close proximity to it for a prolonged period of time, etc. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest it's normal for people in that age group to be popping their clogs if they don't have pre-existing health conditions. But it's still, don't be going out, don't be thinking that you're invincible.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, see if you do think you're invincible. See if you actually do a Google search and watch videos of people who are in their late 20s, 30s, 40s who have caught it, and they're like, it was shite. See, for like 2 weeks, it was absolutely shite. Like, I felt really, like, I mean, because it's still, even if it's not going to kill you, it's still a shite illness. You don't want to have a shite illness. Like, you don't want to be, like, it's, you don't want to get pneumonia, right? Like, it's like pneumonia is survivable, but you don't want to get pneumonia. Do you know what I mean? No. Like, because no one's just like, just a wee bout of pneumonia. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and that brings us on to another myth. And this is, I'll hold my hand up and say this is something that I was kind of guilty of, kind of brushing it off a few weeks ago and saying, it's just basically a fucking flu. It's similar to flu. It's got similar numbers of fatalities to the flu. It's got a similar infection rate, blah, 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 blah. So one of the myths is that COVID-19 is just like the flu. So it causes illness that does certainly have flu-like symptoms such as aches, fever, and coughs. And both coronavirus and flu can be mild, severe, or in rare cases fatal. Both can lead to pneumonia, as you were talking about. But the bottom line is that the overall profile of COVID-19 is more serious. Estimates vary, but the mortality rate seems to be between 1% and 3%. Based on the data that's available to us at the minute. That's coming from the CDC and World Health Organization, etc. Scientists are still working out the exact mortality rate, but it looks to be many times higher than that of seasonal flu. For example, I think the worst year for seasonal flu in like the past kind of decade or whatever in recent years was 2014-15, and in the UK that killed 28,500 people that year. Certainly the data that is now available, the modelling that came from like Imperial College London and stuff, seems to be showing now that if there had not been any government intervention, you'd have been looking at definitely 500,000 people dead, which is significant. That's a serious percentage of the population.
And the thing is, if you look at the uptake rate, like if you look at the death rate and the way that it's, in fact, like, so I don't know if it's the right time to talk about it because we'll probably just end up talking about it now anyway. But essentially, with Italy, so there was a lot of talk of Italy having lockdown, but in actual terms, up until this week, their lockdown has been kind of woolly for lots of Italy. So even though we're seeing Italy was in lockdown and the numbers are ticking up, yes, there was fine. Yes, there was a travel lockdown. Yes, you had to have papers, but there wasn't a lockdown as in clothes stores were still open. And it wasn't they weren't mandatorily shut until this week, essentially.
But essential services. Italians need their fucking clothes, man.
Clothes.
Stylish nation of people.
They need clothes, they need snout, and they need like a wee cafe that they can drink a tiny wee coffee. Like
they can walk about in their suits and that. Hey, mamma mia! That's how they do.
They can drive about in their Alfa Romeo. As an Alfa Romeo owner, I can say no, they can't. They can own an Alfa Romeo that just spends its entire time in the fucking garage.
Looks nice on the driveway.
looks real nice. Lifted about 1.5 meters off the ground on a pneumatic ramp.
We both have Italian motors, eh?
Aye, except yours spends a lot of time in the garage and mine's does in the garage, but different garages. So yours is your garage through choice and mine's is the garage because I'm actually bad mouthing it. My car is a very, 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 very good vehicle. It just has a particular chassis issue that I have to get fucking fixed.
It's an Alfa Romeo.
It's an alpha male. I like, it's beautiful though.
So I think there's one more, or actually no, two more big myths on the coronavirus are one, that the virus will die off when temperatures rise in spring. So like we know, like that there are some viruses like cold and flu that do spread more easily in the winter, but they don't stop entirely when conditions get milder in the summer and the spring and whatever. As it stands, scientists don't know how temperature changes will influence the behaviour of fucking COVID-19. And if we look at the fact that it's been around in places like the Canary Islands right now, the temperature in the Canary Islands in February and March is fucking similar to the temperatures that we get in the summer in Scotland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the idea that it's just going to disappear when the summer comes along.
There is also another factor that. So I was looking at. Today I've been looking at the X Factor. That's right, Jerry. I was looking at how what makes the virus so dangerous, like how the virus works. So one of the dangers is, one of the reasons that you have such a problem with it is that coronavirus isn't essentially a human virus. It's an animal virus that passes on to humans, like swine flu, for example, or like bird flu. Right. The difference is that bird flu, especially, could be passed from birds to humans, but it couldn't really be passed from humans to humans, not in any great level, not without really fucking trying. Do you know what I mean? Like fucking sucking shit at each other and all that. I mean, drinking each other's blood, all sorts of weird shit. Like, do you know what I mean? But I mean, like, just to have the sheer quantity and the amount of time it'd be around, like, for it to pass on. This virus, however, is an animal-based virus that has mutated and does now pass from human to human, which means the humans, there isn't essentially the explanation when I was reading was explaining how the reason that the flu virus does spread but doesn't cause as many problems, and it's because the flu virus is a human virus. So we have an innate, our bodies, our antibodies have an innate understanding of the virus. It has seen varying versions of the virus before it has seen that virus. It knows what that virus is. When it comes into your body, it knows how to respond to it. And that's why generally most people, when they get the flu, get mild symptoms, even though it kills a whole fucking shitload of people. The problem with this virus is it's an animal virus that our body can't really recognise, so it doesn't really know how to fix the problem. But that happens, like I said, with bird flu. Bird flu killed the shit out of people that caught it, but it was really difficult. But it was really difficult to spread.
Fatality rate of avian flu is much higher, much
higher.
It
was like 60% or some shit. It was fucking mental. Like it was some massive number. But
it was much more difficult to catch.
Yeah. Essentially, you could only catch it if you were like rubbing a goose on your face or like drinking some cunt's blood. You know what I mean?
Shagging pigeons.
Like if I feel nasty, then you were going to get it. That's what we're saying. But you had I'm no kink shaming, by the way. But if I was going to kink shaming, shagging pigeons and drinking people's blood is definitely up there with what I'd kink shame. But anyway,
actually, Dick Dastardly and Muttley died of avian flu because they were always trying to
shag the pigeon, shag the pigeon, shag the pigeon. Nab him, shag him. No. But.
Do you know that birds have like, I can't remember what it's called. There's a specific word for it, but like they basically piss, shit, and shag the same hole. Do you know that?
Right? No. So don't shag a bird if you don't want pissed on. Is that what you're saying? That'd be a weird thing to say.
It's called a cloaca.
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 Waka. Is that right? Fuzzy bear. Cloaca.
But everything happens in that hole. So yeah, that's why they are nasty. Birds are nasty.
Party hole. Now, that's what they call it. Right? No, so anyway, my point being, so avian flu kills the shit out of people, but it's very difficult to get. This has a lower death rate, but it's really, really, really fucking easy to get. Like really easy to get. And because it's a animal-based virus rather than a human-based virus, when you get it, your body doesn't really know how to fucking deal with it. Body's trying. We will get there.
This kind of feeds into the final myth that's been going around, and this is one which was massively pushed by Colloidal Silver Cunt, which is the idea that the virus is man-made.
It's no.
Ta-da! So,
There you go.
But they did. I mean, the Daily Mail actually ran a story. I was at the Express. It was one
I
of
don't know, just fucking one of that fucking shite, fucking tabloid shite.
ran a fucking story in their newspaper saying that the virus was potentially a biological weapon for China and all this bullshit, and then later printed a retraction and an apology. But
Saying shit, that was racist.
I mean, that's a fucking horrific piece of misinformation to be, and fake news to be spreading around. But
I'm going to talk to you about the Sun and how she shit about fucking fake news shortly as well, just because they've all been at it recently.
But there was a study in journal Nature Medicine, and a bunch of PhD fucking associate professors at immunology and microbiology put this out, and they basically were looking at to see what they could deduce about the origin of the virus from analysing genomic data and stuff like that. So basically, initially, experts had linked the virus to the seafood market in Wuhan. Later study paper suggested the virus may have spread to humans from illegally trafficked mammals called pangolins. Don't know if you've ever seen a pangolin, but it's kind of like
so they use it as like a armadillo. They use their scale. So they use their scales, they dry them out, and they use their scales for various types of Chinese medicine. They're actually, the pangolin trade in the world is like one of the most affluent trades. Like, so see, if you're shipping pangolins to China, they are like pound for pound worth an absolute fucking fortune. Like an absolute fortune. They're worth so much fucking money.
Where are they from? Like, what part of the world are they from?
I actually don't know. They look fucking South American, but that wouldn't make an iota of sense why they were
Malayan,
are they?
Yeah, are they something like probably that sort of area of Asia, but they come from They're
Southeast Asian type.
Right, coronavirus has killed a large number of Malayan pangolins, basically. But yeah, they're basically they look like armadillos, right? You know, when you're talking about Chinese medicine there, obviously Chinese medicine's been around for fucking like thousands of years or whatever, and there's
the Chinese call it medicine.
Yeah, they do. That's true. But also, like modern science, you know, when they sort of when the Western world collided with China, and we sort of like learned about their medicine, the scientific method then tested all of that stuff, and the stuff that actually worked became medicine.
I know. Like Chinese medicine is just the stuff that was left over. Like things work. Like it's like so like
no efficacy whatsoever.
But see, as I mean, like so if you take something like Chinese medicine, they used opium. Right, so they used opium as a painkiller and as a fucking everything. They used it for fucking pretty much everything. They were just like, yeah, oh, you get sedated, here's some smack. Oh, you get diarrhea, there's some smack. Oh, you hungry, there's some smack. Oh, you need smack, there's some smack. But they were. So, but and then by chance, what we do is we then find our way over to Asia and general in the Middle East. We then get access to opium. We then discovered that opium's fucking baller, and fucking everybody loves it, right? But on top of that, it also has lots of medical benefits. So then that becomes medicine. But if you go back 500, 600, 700 years, that was Chinese medicine. It was the medicine that the Chinese used for stuff, and we just didn't have fucking access to it. So yes, very much so. Like what we were like, people will mock Chinese medicine, but there's a whole shitload of medicine that once was Chinese medicine. Yeah. And in fact, even most of our medicines, stuff that's not been synthesized, comes from the exact same type of sources as Chinese medicine. Just sometimes it's bonkers, like fucking tiger teeth to fucking rub in your eyes to stop you from having earache. Yeah. And other times it's like
that doesn't work.
Other times it's like aspirin.
Or pangolin scales.
Or pangolin scales. Which might actually work. I don't know. Well, I don't know what you use it for. Like,
I'm guessing not, because we don't use it. But anyway.
You don't know that. But they don't work for coronavirus, definitely.
It works for giving you it, maybe. Anyway, cool. To evaluate the origin of the new virus, the researchers compared the backbone of COVID-19 with that of other viruses that commonly affect bats and pangolins. We've all heard the bat soup fucking stories and stuff like that. So it looks like there is an element of truth in that. This could have came from bats. It could have came from pangolins. That's what they seem to be saying.
Well, so the thing is, just on that, coronavirus spreads very easy between certain species. So they reckon snakes, as it turns out, pangolins, bats, pigs, and humans. It spreads easy between them.
And the scientific reason for that is to do with the spike proteins.
Yeah, it's very adaptable.
And it also, it's what the virus is used to bind to membranes. It's like, it basically just looks like little spikes. It's like fucking, it's like
You've all seen the fucking pictures of coronavirus kicking about, man.
Yeah.
He's definitely have.
It like hooks onto you in the same way that like those little seedy weed things with the balls and the wee spurs on them, like just fucking get on your fucking trousers if you're running about in the woods.
Sticky willy things.
Stuff like that, yeah. So more specifically, the authors of the research, they looked at two components of spike proteins: the receptor binding domain, which latches onto healthy host cells, and the cleavage site, which sounds sexy, which opens up the virus and allows it to penetrate the host cell. Also sounds sexy.
Just keep on talking. This is like ASMR for virus geeks.
I reckon Alex Salmon would love this shit. More of that later. To bind to human cells, spike proteins need a receptor on human cells called angiotensin converting enzyme 2, which is fucking...
I wish I was in that naming team. I'd just be like, let's call it Greg.
They shortened it to ACE2 though, which is definitely much better. So yeah, the scientists found that the receptor binding domain of spike protein, if you're following this, guys, had evolved to target ACE2 so effectively it could only have been the result of natural selection and not of genetic engineering. Basically, if we had made it, it wouldn't be as good at doing what it does.
We'd have fucked it. It's what they're saying. They're just like, no, man, we're not that good. Now, the other thing is, because of all of these factors, there is the other very real danger. So there is a component. So the ability to jump between species, and more importantly, the ability to jump between and then affect species. There's scientifically, they refer to that as the virus as being slippery.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Now that term essentially means that because having as we've spoken about on various occasions, I don't even know if I've ever spoken on the show, but I'll play like fucking tabletop games and stuff like that. Slippery is essentially an attribute, right, that is applied to viruses. But slippery means so see if you've got quite a high slippery class, like see if you've got a high slippery level, you have it's got a very high likelihood of it evolving again and mutating again. Now it might mutate to something benign, or it usually doesn't, though. So the problem that you've got is, see if we don't isolate and see if we allow it to breed and see if we allow it to gain traction, it has the opportunity to mutate and it could get worse. And that's what that's where the real danger lies. I mean, essentially, it's a perfect storm of a really specific combination of like the perfect RNA, the perfect components to build up this fucking virus that just makes it very good at jumping between species and very good at being quite fatal. And it can change. Just
to sort of quantify the sort of statement that it's so affected it could only have been the result of natural selection and not genetic engineering. That isn't the only finding that they came up with in the study to show that, you know, it likely wasn't genetically engineered. It was a result of the evolution of a virus. Was it the molecular structure of the backbone of it was... Basically what they were saying was that if scientists had engineered the new coronavirus purposely as a pathogen, then the starting point would have been the backbone of another human virus in the coronavirus family. So something that we could already pick up that was in the coronavirus family. So, you know, likes of SARS, likes of MERS, etc. But the backbone of COVID-19, the mutations of the RBD portion of the spike protein and its distinct backbone, they are much more similar to related viruses in bats and pangolins, which is why they believe that that's where it's evolved from. And basically, the quote by the Professor Christian Anderson is, by comparing the available genome sequence data for known coronavirus strains, we can firmly determine that SARS-CoV-2 or whatever. SARS-CoV-2 is the actual virus. Yeah. COVID-19 is the disease. Yeah, originated through natural processes. So yeah, and the interesting thing in this article, which we'll share, is that there's two possible origin scenarios, and this actually is worth looking at because it has serious implications for what could happen next with it as well. So one scenario they believe is that the virus evolved to become pathogenic in the animal and then jump to humans. This would be similar to how SARS and MERS, which is Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, and South Asian Respiratory Syndrome, that's how they originated. So for the new coronavirus, the authors of this paper are suggesting that the most likely carrier is a bat. And other experts have supported this theory too. Other people say it might be pangolins, but Anderson and his colleagues looks like it's bats. But it's also possible that another intermediate animal host could have transmitted the virus between bats to humans. So that hypothesis would explain why the virus spread so fast. So it suggests that two distinctive features of the spike proteins would have been able to make it kind of wreak havoc before it went to humans. In that scenario, the probability of future outbreaks is higher because the pathogenic strain of the virus would still be circulating in animals, even if we cured it here, and it could jump back to humans at any point.
And the reason there's just some stuff that came to support that is, as we spoke about in another episode, in 2017 there was lots of people that had a combination of in the Wuhan region. When they done a test, it was 6%. When I say lots of people, 6% of the people that were tested had a virus had a version of coronavirus that was present in both them and the bats of the region. So they know that it was jumping between, and subsequently in the same run of experimentation in that area of testing for viruses, there was a noticeable jump between bats and porcine, so pigs that were in the wet markets. So in kind of 2017ish time, in round about that region, there was definitely coronavirus that was identifiable in bats and pigs and identifiable in bats and humans all at the same time. And that's then where, like as you were saying, that's where the danger exists, that in the event it's jumping between them as it is now, the chances of catching it again, if we don't look into the way that like wet markets and stuff like that are, like people just fucking lying with pigs and bats over them and shit, we were just going to get it again. Like we're not going to get rid of this because no amount of self-isolation will change the fact that it can spread to other animals as well.
Yeah.
Unless we kill them all.
So that's one scenario. So just a quick recap of that scenario is that it started in bats, it's jumped to an intermediate animal host, and then it's transmitted between them to humans, which could explain why it's spread so fast. If that's the case, it makes the probability of future outbreaks higher because it can circulate between animals and it could jump back into humans from any other animal at any other point. The second scenario is that the virus is non-pathogenic in animals but jumped into humans and then evolved into a disease-causing strain there. That scenario supports the theory that places pangolins at the start of the outbreak because the spike proteins of some coronaviruses from pangolins have a very similar RBD structure to that of SARS-CoV-2. However, the authors caution it's impossible to tell which scenario is more likely to be true at this point. But if it was the second scenario, then if we can kind of deal with what we have within the next 18 months is sort of our best case scenario, they seem to think, for a vaccine. Although there was reports today from Australia that the Australian clinicians believe they might have found a cure because they've been testing out different drugs and they seem to have got good results from one particular drug. So there's obviously a drug type cure might come quicker than a vaccine. A vaccine could take 18 months, but a drug, I think they're just basically trying drugs that already exist. And if they find...
We've all been there.
if they find that something works, then that could potentially, be a quicker fix. So if we find something that we can deal with this with, and it's the second scenario, then there's not the danger of it then jumping back into humans from a different animal with a different mutation.
I would also like to make clear, because of what you just said as well, that when we have a vaccine, when we get there eventually, a vaccine will stop you from getting it. But you'll no go and get a vaccine jag and it'll clear it up. Do you know what I mean? That's not how vaccines work.
No.
Like, so
They also make
having
you
a,
autistic.
they also make it, I guess, because they're full of fucking silver.
Aluminium.
There must be bad silver this time. Bad silver, not the good silver. But yeah, so like
Just to
having
be
a
clear, they don't cause that.
no, they don't at all. That's just fucking bonkers. That's just bonkers. That I guarantee no cunt's going to be fucking spouting when they show up with this vaccine.
You know who believes that though?
Silver lad.
Like the silver guy.
So anyway, what I was going to say is, so we need the medical, like, so this is where the problem, this is one of the issues that we're coming up against, is we need both. The vaccine will be able to prevent us from getting it, but the medical, like the medicine to get rid of it, to treat it, is what we need to stop cunts from dying. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got it already, we need both. So we need both those ways to attack. Vaccinate people so they don't get it, medicate people so it gets rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's very important that we get, like, the vaccine we can kind of hold off on for 6 months or 8 months, providing doctors are able to come up with a medical cure or a medical way to actually fight the problem. And this is the issue again, because it's an animal-based pathogen, because it's an animal-based disease and not a human-based disease, we don't have information. We don't have what we need to be able to fight it, and that's what we're trying to work out at the present moment. Interestingly, what I'll put a link at the bottom. I'll put a link. Jerry will put a link at the bottom. Maybe, I don't even know who'll be running this. One of the two is copied into Jerry's machine. But anyway, that doesn't matter. On Reddit, there was a Reddit article that was put up with the PC Reddit group that there's a whole pile of government. There's a whole pardon?
Politically correct Reddit group.
No, the personal computing Reddit group. But they've got a list of, there is no politically correct Reddit groups. They've got a list of government agencies that use now. You may or may not know what I'm talking about, but if you've ever been involved in donating some of your computer processing ability to helping do the oh shit, Jerry, what's the name of the fucking American, not NASA, the other group that do fucking searching for information in the stars? They run, do you know, even, I can't remember off the top of my head, it's fucking really bad, but it's the group that run all the electron telescopes and stuff like that, who are listening out to the sky. You can,
like, is it not like Contact, but it's an acronym or something fucking mental like that?
possibly. Anyway, you can donate. You can download an applet that will run on your computer that donates some of your computing process ability to process all the information that's bringing through. Also, if anybody knows anything about mining bitcoins, the same basic principle. You use your computing ability to be able to solve long algorithms that will result in bitcoins. By the same basic principle, they're asking people to donate computing energy to run applications that will all talk to the one server, and it means it will help them solve models to try and work through to find medicine. Essentially what you do is you build a cloud-based computer, supercomputer, using everybody else's computers to process tiny bits of the information that all feeds together.
Solving fucking blockchain or whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. So it's just like Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoin mining. It's the same basic principle, only it's for fucking good and not just for profit. So we'll put the link of that at the bottom because there's about 10 or 15 listed different government and science agencies that are running different things at the present moment that want you to download the applets to run on your computer. And granted, at the present moment, some of you are going to be working from home, your computers are going to be used, but see when you go to bed at night, see if it's not going to massively impact your electric bill to have your PC running throughout the night. You can leave it running throughout the night, and it gives people, that sounds like I just fucking endorsed a fire hazard. I would like to put a fucking statement right now that says, I'm not saying you should run your computer throughout the night. I can't guarantee the safety of it, but if you're willing to have your computer running throughout the night, you want to donate some of your processing ability to it, it's, you know, a good thing that you can do from your house to show that you're at least helping or trying to help this scenario. And you never know, you might fucking support the agency, you might support the right computer thing that fucking finds the cure, and then you can lord over your mates forever. You can lord over your, you can be part of something. The lord over your mates thing is the thing that I meant with that at all. No.
So PC Reddit is not politically correct, it's personal computer.
Yes. It's actually called PC Master Race, but I tried to not say that because it's no. Because it does a bit fascist, but that's only because consoles are shite in that.
So a bunch of Daily Express readers watched
fannies.
No, they watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. They said it was a PC gone mad.
It was.
So, I guess that kind of brings us. That's the myths about coronavirus out of the way. I suppose we would probably want to kind of look a bit more closely at how our specific government, the government of the UK, has dealt with the coronavirus, and maybe how that has kind of changed over the past couple of weeks from their original fucking kind of laissez-faire herd immunity attitude to something a bit more fucking taking it seriously, if slightly confused. And I think there's been a definite lack of clarity in the messaging that's came out of fucking Downing Street.
So, yeah, I mean, well, first I think that gives me a good chance to talk about what I was looking at. I was looking at the other countries, So the big three, if you will, at the present moment. Actually, so there's essentially a big five when you're talking about the way the different ways have been treated here across the world. You've got China, who has been I knew you were going to do that as soon as I fucking said it. Who see the way he says that, by the way. Can we just do for a second, right? He's a grown man and the leader of the fucking the largest superpower in the world, and he says China in a weird, funny way, like a child.
China.
And he's deliberately enunciating it that way, like he's a pure cunt, right? So,
yes,
he's just a pure cunt, like every single.
That's a t-shirt. Donald Trump is a pure cunt.
As it turns out, I'm fucking isolated. I'll do that tomorrow, Jerry. I've got time. I've got other t-shirts I have to do as well. Finland is fine. Finland's doing okay as well. But also, while we're talking about that fucking spunk trumpet, see that fucking... Did you see him attack the fucking journalist when the journalist was like, what would you say to the millions of Americans that are scared? He was just like, you're a bad human being. Imagine asking that. You're a shite journalist. I hope your fucking parents die. And other like equally as horrible things. He didn't quite say that. But it was like, he attacked that man. Be like, I can't even believe you would ask that question. You can't believe I would ask the leader of our country what he should say to the worried people who are concerned about the virus. That's literally your fucking job, man. That's the most definition of your fucking job.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly
a fucking roaster.
That too, but he's not been coping with the pressure this well. Like he's kind of went off at. I can think of 4 separate instances that he's went off at journalists over the past week. Twice, actually, to the kind of mixed race lassie with the glasses and the short hair. When she asked him about whether he was promoting racist ideas by constantly referring to this as the Chinese virus, and she's the one that mentioned the kung flu thing to him, and he made her repeat it. Like, who said that? Who said that in my department and all that? She also, on a separate occasion from that, I believe it wasn't the same press conference, asked him, she's the one who asked him about the fact that he had basically moved the department that kind of dealt with novel pathogens and disease outbreak and stuff out of the White House. Essentially
the CDC part of the White House, like the American virus department, the people who deal with like pandemics.
Exactly, the people who deal with pandemics. So it's like it's not just the CDC or whatever, or any kind of disease control. It's a very specific part of it. A very specific department which is built to deal with exactly what's going on, and he had moved him out of the White House and sort of sidelined him somewhat, but he then claimed it was not to do with him. Did you do that? So you, Tom?
Did you see it? It's fucking blinding. Like when he's like, I don't know about it. I don't know anything about it. Maybe someone in the department. Tom, was it you? Whoa. Donald, did you just
hell, that bus just absolutely took Tom out.
The only thing that would have been more beautiful is if Tom was just like, no, Donald, it was you, remember when you said to me, remember when you said, get rid of them? Remember when you said that? You said, Tom, I'm trusting you to get rid of them. Remember when you said that? I mean, Tom would find himself fired and dead very quickly, but it would have been a blinding response. Like, it would have been amazing.
So there was that. There was the kind of
Attacking the boy for being for the wrong for how could you ask the question of me to do my job, the one job that I have to do right now.
And then was another woman with kind of longer hair. He spoke to her about the fact that she used to work for somebody else, you know.
He just belittles people, like he attacks them like in a childish way.
Level, yeah.
It's like it's the exact same way as like he keeps on saying China in a weird way, like as in like a child. China, like what are you doing that for? You're fucking, oh my god, you're actually
China.
fucking like if my friend done that in the pub more than once, they would get torrents of abuse for it.
They would no longer be your friend.
No, well, they would get no, they probably would be, because it would give me hours of fun. Just abusing him for it. But like, because he's now the most powerful man essentially in the world, the roaster's getting away with all sorts of stuff that he would get dogs abuse for. Like, it's just,
but he's been getting away with shit his whole life. Like, he grew up super privileged. Like, we've spoken about this before. Folk who come into this world with a certain level of privilege never experience getting punched in the face, and it's a great leveler, being punched in the face at some point in your youth.
you know, it's a beautiful level as well, and something that's come up because of this. That suddenly there's people, there's middle class, upper middle class people, and like what would be essentially white suburbia. You know what I mean? Like living in their little towns, and they're just like, how am I meant to survive on £96 universal credit a week? And it's like, I know.
Yeah, that's right.
that's literally what we've been saying.
That's a good question.
Mind who we said that for the last forever. That's exactly.
Mind how you didn't give a fuck about that for the past fucking 10 years or whatever.
Mind when you kept on saying, this is fucking ridiculous. It's dead easy to live on £96 a week. What is fucking Jeremy Corbyn talking about? This is what he was talking about. See the hardship that you're feeling right now? That's what he was talking about.
There was a belting tweet from our friend of the show, Darren McGarvey, Loki, the Scottish rapper, who now has a podcast. I think he specifically said he took great inspiration from ourselves. He didn't say that, but
I'm going to fucking tweet him and say that he did.
But he's been on this show twice, so he's obviously a sound cunt. But
he has, and he always retweets and talks to us and stuff like that. Like, he's a good lad.
Isabel Oakeshott, author of The Bad Boys of Brexit and cunt, who was happy to go on Andrew Marr and belittle Carol Cadwallader and basically say that she was chasing unicorns and she was a fantasist and she was a conspiracy theorist when she was originally on there talking about Cambridge Analytica, about Aaron Banks and his involvement in all of this stuff, only to be proven to be a fucking absolute liar. And she came out and basically admitted that she had transcripts that proved a lot of this stuff had happened from her book, from Lord Archer. However, Isabel Oakeshott, that cow, had tweeted today to say, unbelievably, some private schools are already sending parents invoices for next term's fees in full while parents home educate their kids. And then one of those little emojis with like a stroking chin and a raised eyebrow. Absolute piss take at ISC_schools. And Darren McGarvey had just like tweeted it saying, you should see what the DWP does to folk. So
when we came onto this, the reason that we came onto all of this is actually, so I want to tell you about it's over there, right?
You want to tell us about the big so China.
So the big five, you've got China, Italy, Spain, South Korea and Singapore. Now the reason that Singapore is in the list is because Singapore,
very good example of how to do it right.
Is very, very, very good example of how to do it right. Essentially, Singapore. In
fairness, though, it's not a great comparison because it's a small population in comparison.
No, indeed. But what they done was they were aware that there was going to be a financial impact, so they took it on the chin early on. They locked everything down straight away, started testing everyone straight away, started finding out who people had been in contact with using facial recognition and all their cameras and all that in their towns to work out where people had travelled and where they had been going around. And in doing so, were able to essentially avoid a mass mandatory lockdown by creating a much easier to manage mandatory lockdown right at the start, before there was panic buying, before there was madness, before there was anything. They were just like, no, this is how it is. Everything's locked down, everything's done, all the borders are shut, nothing's doing anything. 2 weeks and we will fix this.
Okay, two things I would say to that. One, they have an extremely strong economy that they probably are confident that they have the ability to bounce back from this.
We're the 5th largest economy in the world, Jerry. I don't know if you remember Brexit. It just happened not long ago.
That's fine, but I would Singapore have a strong economy.
Oh yeah, I know they do. I understand that there is variables there to make it easier for them.
They don't have the same problems of, like, you know, having to pay out benefits and stuff like that and whatever that we do, because they just
I understand that there was things that made it easier, but and then again we can then use
this is the most important one. It's basically a police state. So
I guess so. I know there's an authoritarian state. I know. You can strip. You can. It's a lot easier to enforce. Like, this is actually.
I'm saying that about a city that I have fucking been in like 8 or 9 times, and I fucking chose to spend my 30th birthday there with my wife and that, and actually I've got mates who live in Singapore. I love Singapore. It's a fucking great place to go and visit, and there's lots of cool stuff going there. It's extremely expensive and there's a lot of wankers there. There's some cool folk there too. It's got a lot going on culturally, but yeah, it is like fucking, you don't fuck about there in terms of like drugs or fucking anything that's going to get you involved with the police. Those motherfuckers will just lock you up and fucking execute you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's perfect, and secondly, I'm not saying that they had the same trials and tribulations that we had dealing with this whole scenario, right? But they did deal with it in a way which has been incredibly efficient, and we've known about that for fucking ages. So we had that as a base example coming into this, so we already knew that. Now, if we then take South Korea, which is slightly further down the chain of getting on top of it all, but have done a very good job of control in the grand scheme of things, because again, their government were like, we're going to test every cunt, we're going to test people at the side of the roads, we're going to close down everything that we can close down, and we're going to make a whole shitload of stuff mandatory right now, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to get rid of this virus. So those two, the reason that those two then come into it is because they are good examples. One, a very good example. And another thing that I would say is, if you look at countries at the present moment that are dealing with it better and worse, countries, see kind of mainland Europe and like kind of northern Europe where we all are, for the most part, we have it easy. We have it easy across the board. We don't really get natural disasters. We don't really have wars. We haven't since fucking 45. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't really, which is why
we had a real significant skirmish with the Falkland Islands.
We did exactly. No, but exactly.
Over the Falkland Islands. Sorry, that's not certainly true.
No, it wasn't with the Falkland Islands. When we fucking invaded them the first time. No, so because we don't suffer from things like, so a country that deals with things like tsunamis or earthquakes are used to dealing with fucking shite, are used to the country having to close down, are used to the army on the streets, are used to rationing, are used to things in a way where it's like, you have a thing and the government have told you this is what we have to do to deal with the thing. It's much easier for countries like Singapore and like, not Singapore, but like Southeast Asian countries and stuff like that to just be...
I think South Korea has a very specific fucking cultural identity, which means that they can react quickly to a crisis for a whole bunch of infrastructure reasons. The fact that like everybody's in national service, they're constantly on alert due to the fact that they've had a fucking silent war going on with fucking North Korea since like the 50s. The way their culture works, like I've worked there, and you know, you get up in the morning at the shipyards, everybody fucking does like
doing their tai chi, you know that.
Everybody does exercise, like star jumps and shit in unison with each other while listening to the national anthem and stuff. You know, it's like, and that's the truth.
I know, and I know it's true. But see, to hear a person just say it like, and as a totally rational sentence, it's like, well, that just sounds fucking mental.
but there's, and I think, you know, I like
Jerry's all for an authoritarian state.
No. I'm just, what I was going to say was that there's just a different. They have a different idea about society and stuff. Like and I think this is something which is common in quite a lot of Asian country. Like it's certainly similar to Japan.
Yes.
In that it's more about
honour and family and where you're from and
also
culture.
About your contribution to the community, the greater community, and the large,
the good of the country and the good of the emperor. I mean, but like,
and you as an individual. Whereas, like we certainly since the 80s have promoted the idea of a very individualistic society, and it's all about the
and me over you.
Yeah.
As opposed to the country over me, which is essentially a much more Asian, and people will also say a communist thing, but it's a much more Asian thing. You know what I mean? Like it's much more.
So not South Africa. South Korea has a
not South Africa. South Africa is the opposite of everything that we said.
No. South Africa is all about community. As long as it's not the blacks.
That's exactly that. Unless you talk to a black guy, then it's about community. But as long as it's not the whites, let's mildly joke about terrible racism in South.
But fucking South Korea has a really successful economy.
It does, and I mean,
and it's like free market as well.
Yeah, so the other things that I was going to get to with these countries
in your fucking house that'll be fucking made there, you know what I mean? Like LG, fucking Samsung, anything by Daewoo, anything by Hyundai, like all of that shit. And
how did you know that I've got my Daewoo and Hyundai parked in my fucking living room?
But it's like mad because Samsung fucking build massive fucking ships and tankers and fucking like vessels and stuff like that, like oil fucking drillers and whatever else, as well as like phones and TVs and everything else. They fucking make cars as well as fucking like they do massive amounts of shipbuilding. Hyundai's the same, and they just do fucking.
It's like Yamaha. Yamaha is a good example of a Japanese company that does the same. Like Yamaha just fucking build
shit hot keyboards,
like shit hot motorbikes, and like fucking like
what's going on?
I know. Like pianos. So I think don't hold me to this, but I was watching Japan. It was maybe even James May's thing about around Japan, but they went to the Yamaha factory and Yamaha make like more pianos than anyone else in the world. Like they've got a piano factory that just builds like pianos. It goes to like if Elton John's buying a new piano, he buys it off Yamaha and they make him a custom piano. Like that's who you go to if you were wanting to get
a 2,500cc piano.
Well, I mean, that does absolutely sound like something Elton John would say. I want it, so every time I open it, flowers fly out. What are you talking about? That's what I said, flowers. Weirdly, I had a story, right? This fucking welcome to Pulse. Welcome. No, we're not, because I can bring it back because it's the countries. But so you know how there's all the stories about. I know what I remember that. Now there's all the stories with Elton John and how much money he spends on flowers.
Right.
I had heard a story that flowers are supposedly one of the things. So I have a friend who worked as a runner in clubs in Edinburgh and stuff like that, like when they were in their early 20s, and flowers and some type of fruit or something like that is what they usually run through expenses for when you have to be buying things like
rent, boys and
Aye, but pretty much. So see if like you were working in like a particularly well-known club that puts on bands, and you had like an artist that was there, and you were like one of the runners that had to make sure that if you had to go and like take petty cash to go and buy some drugs for the famous band because you wanted them, you can't put it through his drugs. So they put flowers. Yeah, but that is it's just interesting that he's known for. I think he like was buying like £2 million worth of flowers anyway. But I think I'm just saying, if at some point in their life it turns out that Elton John had bought £2 million worth of cocaine, I wouldn't be shocked.
That was just a rough. That was just a rough Saturday.
So now what was great, so getting back to it. So the way that I'm going to touch on the other three countries is I'm not really going to focus that much on Italy for the most part, mostly because it's fucking bleak. like right at the present moment, Italy didn't lock down to its fullest extent, and because of that, the numbers that are rising in Italy, they are fucking bleak, man. They are it's
bit of positive news on Italy. Today was the first day that saw a drop in deaths, fatalities.
Daily death.
Yeah, from the previous day, because it's been ramping up consistently since the first case, basically the first fatality. So today was the first day that it actually dropped down. I think it dropped from roughly like 500 and odds yesterday down to about 470. Or the day before yesterday, 500 odds. It was 471 yesterday. So it's hopefully. It might not be statistically significant yet because it's only one day. It could just be an aberration, an outlier, etc. But hopefully, it's a sign that the strict measures that they've imposed might be starting to work.
Now, do you know who Giorgio Gori is?
Giorgio.
Okay, Gori. Now, see if you do know, this would be fucking amazing because the chances of that seems incredibly unlikely.
No, essentially, he was left back for Roma.
I knew you were going to do something like that, right? So he is the mayor of Bergamo in Italy.
Oh fuck! Right? I can't believe I didn't get that. So
now the reason you might have known his name is Bergamo in Italy is the region that's been hit the worst with the coronavirus. Right.
Right.
And
I thought it was Lombardy.
But so I think Lombardy's in the Bergamo region.
Right. I don't know.
I mean, but anyway, he is. It's noted on numerous locations and actually more than one article about different things that he is the mayor of the region that has been most hard hit with the coronavirus.
Right.
Which is the region of Bergamo, if you're checking that.
So Lombardy's a region in northern Italy. So
and Bergamo's next to it.
Bergamo. How are you spelling that?
That would be Bergamo, like Bergamo.
Because like you've got Bergamot, don't you? Which is like a
yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so it's a city in the Lombardy region.
In Lombardy region. Okay. So there we go. That's where the mix-up is. But anyway, so that's the city that's been hit the worst, right?
Because it's called maybe the biggest city in Lombardy.
I would imagine that it must be. I would imagine it's the biggest city because it's the area that's been hit the worst. Logic would dictate that it would be the biggest city for that to happen.
Yeah.
But more importantly, when we were talking, the reason that I started this entire tangent was this excellent fact. Yesterday, it was pointed out that the UK government have dealt so poorly with the virus outbreak, and I'm not making this bit up, that Giorgio flew his two daughters who are studying in the UK back to Bergamo because he thinks the UK are dealing with it so poorly they would be, and he's noted on the Guardian article, and he's in the Guardian article saying they would be safer in the town where every cunt is dying rather than in the UK because of the way the UK's handled it.
But does that not illustrate a fucking serious fucking point? Why are we still allowing flights in and out of Italy to the UK?
I mean, that's another issue. Well, it's actually into Italy. I don't know if we're letting flights come from Italy back into the UK.
Like, we haven't stopped any flights coming from anywhere yet.
No. But flights have been stopped from coming from other places.
No. What do you mean?
Oh,
UK, we have not put a travel ban on flights from anywhere yet.
No, but I'm not saying that. But I mean, like, so say, for example, Italy, if Italy's not flying out anywhere, it doesn't matter if we're letting flights come in from Italy. It becomes entirely irrelevant because there's no flights coming from Italy.
I don't know. I don't know if Italy are letting people fly out or not. But I certainly read like 2 days ago that we were still allowing flights in from Italy, still allowing flights in from Iran, still allowing flights in from everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, he's made it abundantly clear that the UK response is so inadequate these children would be safer at home, even if we're in the centre of the epidemic, was his exact words. And
there's been no testing, no screening of people coming into the country off of flights either.
Well, there you go. So if you take, so some of our friends, their parents were over visiting them in Australia. Mm-hmm. And they flew home in the last week.
Yeah.
And the entire flight from Australia flew to the UK, and at no point was anybody tested for the whole flight, and then they came back in, they landed in the UK, and then they went. So they had been on a flight for 20 bazillion hours. I don't know what the fucking flight time is. Some ungodly time. A day, essentially, give or take. Right?
Yeah.
They had been in.
And they will have been over somewhere as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They've been in, essentially, for the most part, almost guaranteed, they've been in the largest airport, give or take, in certainly in the region they were in, but probably the largest airport in Australia, then probably stop over in Singapore or Dubai, usually, which is two of the largest
Probably
airports on Earth.
Because I think the flights that were coming through Dubai had been fucking stopped in Dubai.
Well, certainly. Well, so I know the flights that were flying from Singapore, because my mother was going to Australia this year, and she was going to be going to Singapore. She couldn't go to the Singapore Grand Prix because if she had stopped in, because if not, well, there's that. But if they had stopped in Singapore, they weren't allowed to enter Australia.
Right. Okay.
So at the present moment, you can't do a stopover from Singapore to Australia because you're not allowed to fly from Singapore to Australia.
Right.
So it would have to have been Dubai up until that point anyway, certainly. Or not have to have been, but you know what I mean? It would, like, certainly, very likely, Dubai, Abu Dhabi-ish area is where you end up flying. Qatar, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. So you were going to talk about the countries.
Yes. So that's what I was saying about Italy. But and then what I would do was I was focusing on the way that different lockdowns happen. So the reason that I looked at this to even start with was when you had been talking about fake articles that have been spewed out by the Daily Mail or the Express or whatever the fuck it was that was spewing out. The Sun had posted an article, and I had actually seen the videos and stuff from this from Twitter, which was people are getting welded in their house. Aye, so it's like people, not just welding, the spread of coronavirus. Stop welders, fucking shipbuilding bastards. But yeah, so there's videos.
This is how Billy Connolly got Parkinson's. Welding,
possibly. Aye, fucking that and coronavirus. He got them both. So anyway,
he's definitely in the age range that he's fucked. Like,
oh yeah,
he's a pre-existing condition.
Aye,
he'd be a shite welder now.
he would be. He'd be all over the place. But what I was going to say was, shit, Jerry, you fucking ruined me there. This must be for it's like for you all the time when you're trying to say something. I just butt in with fucking nonsense. That's fucking tragic. Right, but so there's a video of them welding doors shut. Right, and it's like, this is shocking. People are getting welded shut to like die in their buildings.
People are getting welded shut.
People are getting welded shut. People's doors, the doors for apartment doors of apartment blocks are being welded. Now, the claim that was kind of attached to it from Twitter was that it was some kind of ethnic cleansing because the areas that were getting welded shut were big on Muslims. Yeah, and obviously, as we're aware, China and that kind of region of Asia at the present moment has had various issues with religious fucking essentially ethnic cleansing of various levels. It does how so I looked into this, and there's a lot of evidence on Twitter that suggests it's been happening.
Mm-hmm.
However, it didn't take me long to find an article from The Guardian that made it clear that lockdown in the area is shite. Like, it's a police state, it is shite. Like, it's very, very locked down and nobody can do anything. But the reason that they welded the apartment doors shut was so there was only one entrance to the apartments, so the police could monitor who was coming in and out the apartments all the time.
There was another door.
Aye, so they were welding doors shut, but they weren't welding the building shut. Yeah, and those two things are very different. So it meant that the police could monitor. Now, granted, on that note, the police had also, and I'm not making this up, dug trenches round the fucking towns and cities, got rid of the dirt paths that went into the fields, and put nets in the rivers in case people tried to swim out the towns in the rivers. So it's fucking bleak. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's no cheery in it.
This brings me on to something that I've also seen on my news feed in the past week that led to me falling out with another guy that I've talked with before, who was basically going on about how it was this is fucking nothing. I know the government's shutting down shit. It's just like the fucking flu. I don't know what the fucking problem is. Let folk get about their day. This is bullshit. Blah 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 blah. And I got into a bit of an argument with him on Facebook because I was like, well, you know, because he'd actually posted numbers at the time as well, which were, you know, along the lines of, I can't remember the exact figures, but he basically said, oh, there's only been 70,000 confirmed cases and only 6,000 folk have died. And I was like, well, that's an extremely high percentage of fatalities to confirmed cases, you know? So just to put that in perspective.
That's like 10% death rate.
I was like,
that's no good.
Basically meant, it can't have been exactly those figures, but I'd worked it out what the percentage was, and I'd said to him, look, it means that if the 65 million people in the UK catch this, 2.5 million people would die. If only 60% catch it, which is at the time what the government were pushing as policy, was for 60% of the population of the UK to catch it and, you know, create herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
Then it would have been over 1.25 million people dead. So, you know, don't be so ridiculous and say it's not a big deal. If you don't think that's a big deal, there's something fucking wrong with you. And he came back and said, oh, but look, China's not even had any new fucking cases a day, so it can't be that big a deal. And I was like, yeah, but China, the Hubei fucking province, they've literally just fucking shut down put a perimeter around an entire province of China and locked every cunt in their fucking houses for fucking 2 months. Yeah, mad cunt.
Also, when people bring up China, they're just like, but look, cases are going away from China, they're opening up the borders. But the first case that they fucking discovered in China was in December last year.
Yeah.
Was 4 months ago. And 4 months.
Sorry.
But in 4 months, you know, is when I said open the border, that's exactly what I thought as well.
Open it.
Yeah, if I'm going to get chased by somebody who's going to float with for singing a song, I really don't want it to be Neil Fallon, because I think that
Shagging pangolins.
I could probably disguise myself as Neil Fallon and get away with it for a couple of weeks. My hair's kind of at this length now, where if I just messed it up, took the specs off and pointed and shouted, I could Fallon.
Oh, I reckon you could probably manage a bit of pointing and shouting, Paul. I think that's within your skill set.
People can't see that. That's quality. But people might see us soon, because I think we're going to start doing video stuff going on. If we can. I know you might not be able to be there. We'll call it COVID.
Yeah,
because it's a cooperative video and not got anything to do with the virus. It's just happening during the lockdown period. So anyway, like I said, so when I was looking at China, I was looking at the numbers and I was looking at the way. Please don't do China when I said that.
I thought it in my head, but I didn't.
I know you did. I heard it in your head. But they did, so they locked it down. I mean, they really locked it down. They locked it down to the level where people don't, this isn't army on the streets. This is, you're not on the fucking streets. This isn't, it didn't matter if the army was there, because you're not allowed out your house. And in China, if you go out your house and you're not allowed to be there, they'll just take you to jail or maybe kill you.
Also, reports from a lot of the European people who were there, for example, teaching English and stuff like that. There was UK citizens in China at the time within the region who suggested that many parts of the internet, particularly stuff which allowed them to communicate with the outside world, was being heavily shut down by the Chinese government at the time.
Oh yeah, I think there's been a mass control of information and data going in and out. And don't get me wrong, I am under no illusion that the numbers that we have been getting given from China may not be accurate in any way, shape or form, because they control all the information that's coming out. So there may be substantially more deaths, maybe substantially more infected, and we're not going to know. We're not really going to know.
I mean, I wasn't planning to talk about this right now, but certainly if you look at the information which has came from South Korea, which has came out of Iceland, in turn, which I believe are the two countries which have done the largest amount of testing pro rata per head of population. So we're getting... I
mean, there is only about 25 folk in Iceland, though, so it's quite easy to do that.
About 300,000, I think. But certainly, where was that article, actually? Because I did chuck it in there, didn't I?
You did. That's 10%. So that's 5% of the population in Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. But certainly South Korea tested a lot of people as well. And the information that was coming out of South Korea was basically showing that actually between the ages of 20 and 29 had some of the the highest infection rates, but the majority of people within that age range were asymptomatic carriers. So, were exhibiting no symptoms whatsoever, but were infected with coronavirus. Iceland, which has actually tested a higher proportion of its inhabitants than any other country, found that half of those who tested positive for COVID-19 showed no symptoms whatsoever. And as many as a third of the people who tested positive showed delayed symptoms or none at all. In China as well. So there's certainly, it's obviously very difficult to tell, and it's, there's a certain amount of conjecture involved in terms of looking at our own population here in the UK, but obviously the sort of numbers that are being reported here are sort of sitting at around, I believe, about the 7,000 mark in terms of confirmed cases of coronavirus. I'm actually just going to pull up that
incredibly good graph thing.
Yeah, that JJ sent us earlier on. So
we'll post that as well so people can. It is excellent.
It's from Johns Hopkins University, so it shows like a kind of live update of what's going on in the world. So yeah, the UK is sitting as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th largest amount of confirmed cases in the world right now. Bearing in mind, some of the countries above us have much, much larger populations, like China and the US.
India
aren't above us at the moment, but
are they not? They probably will be by like tomorrow. They're locked down completely as well. They started enforcing it today.
Like, it's one of those ones again. How much would you trust the data that you're getting out of India? But anyway, I
don't even trust the data that's coming out of the fucking US at the present moment. But we'll get to that.
8,164 confirmed cases within the UK at the moment. But bear in mind, half of the people in Iceland who have been tested and been confirmed as positive for COVID-19 are showing no symptoms whatsoever. So there's a good effect.
So you can imagine it's 16,000 people anyway.
At least. And also anybody it's not like anyone who's exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19 in the UK is being told to go and visit a hospital and get tested. They're being told to stay at home and self-isolate. So no one's recording that, and it wouldn't count as a confirmed case because there's been no testing done. So we really have absolutely no idea. Like, for example, my mother and father are both exhibiting symptoms at the moment. And, I've been in touch with me on a daily basis. I've kind of been getting progressively worse with some of their symptoms. But, they're not, they wouldn't be included in those numbers. And God knows how many people there are that are in the same situation as that,
Absolutely.
So you just don't know.
No, you don't. And that kind of brings me to Spain. And the reason that brings me to Spain, and we can get on to the other stuff we want to talk about Spain. It's listed as Italy on our thing. But before we get to that, Spain is probably, I was going to say the closest to us, but of all the countries I've mentioned, Spain actually is physically the closest to us.
True.
So that goes without saying. But other than that, in terms of number and growth and the way that they've dealt with it and the way that they've locked down and at the time of the infection that they've locked down, we are not a million miles away from Italy and the way that Italy locked down when they locked down and stuff. We've actually locked down a few days later than Italy did, but we've locked down a bit harder now than Italy had, possibly learning from Italy's mistakes and not closing down things like clothes shops that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Spain took a very different approach. So in Madrid, they're flying drones in the streets to make sure there's people not out in the streets because they're not allowed to be. Now, the number that floats around is €30,000 for the fine. It can be up to €30,000. It is, in fact, more likely to be around €600, which, by the way, is still a fucking kick in the teeth. I mean, it's only a £30 fine in the UK at the present moment.
God,
2 fines and then
the exchange rate is now.
That's it. €600 is $30. No, it's only £30 fine, 2 fines in the UK, and then you get jail time. Whereas in
totally
Whereas there's
Danger
mad
wank.
tiers, where there's mad tiers on the way that they charge you in Spain. So essentially, if they
People
deem that
trying
what
to-
you're doing, shut up. There's essentially, if they deem that what you're doing, like, so they found a group of relatively young people, kind of late teens, early 20s, all having a big, like, fucking party in a place that was quite inaccessible. They found it on the drone, so everybody got fined. But you can get up to like €500,000 or something like that fined for that, because you're endangering everybody. Like, the organizer of it, like, you know what I mean? So they've got these tiers for how much that they can charge you depending on where it is.
Would
But
you-
essentially,
Would like just throwing it out there, but again, you think there's like a cultural element to, like, Spain are able to bring stuff like that in because historically they
I don't think you can play historically Spain as a fascist regime and then disclude Italy from that sentence. So, like,
yeah, but Italy,
because
Italy also has
Italy sees your fascism and fucking
Raises
writes about it. So every other country knows how to apply it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
However, I don't remember Franco getting fucking hung upside down off a lamppost.
No, but people fucking tried though. It's not like they didn't try.
Yeah. I mean, like,
but
sorry to interject, but it's just because I was looking at this this data this database and sort of infographic from John Hopkins. It's got the map and everything. I didn't realise how high Germany was sitting in terms of confirmed cases. Did you?
Well, see, I knew that it was one of the issues that had been highlighted to me last week was Rangers possibly were playing German team Bayern. Yep, and that is the region that is the worst hit.
Yeah, I was
The worst hit.
YouTube at this. Yeah.
Was it you that spoke to me about it? So then the problem then lies that there was still travel coming back and forward from there, even though the schools were all shut.
Yeah, like so at the time, this was just before our football was closed down. In fact, so football was closed down on the Friday the 13th. Weirdly, it's almost.
Why is that weird, Jerry?
Well, you know, and Thursday the 12th of March.
Weird.
What?
All right, sorry. I thought, Thursday the 12th. For me, I'm superstitious about Thursday the 12th. And the thing is, people are always worried about the next day all the time, because every time there's a Thursday the 12th, there's a Friday the 13th.
Fuck off. so at the time, right, the game went ahead. It's actually the last game that was played in Scotland. Football wise, it might be the last game that's played in Scotland for quite a long time. So at the time that the game was going ahead in Glasgow, the game the week later in Germany had already been called off. Not been called off, was already going to be played behind closed doors, and it had been announced several days before that match went ahead in the UK, because the German government had decided to close a number of schools, had decided that there was no mass gatherings in that area of Germany, that they're, they were basically going out of their way to make sure that there was not going to be any spread of the virus. And the return leg in Leverkusen was going to be played behind closed doors. The match, it's because that was the most infected part of Germany at the time. It was the place that was reporting the largest amount of cases. However, the authorities still saw fit to allow like 3,000 fans from that part of Germany to fly into Glasgow, to stay in hotels, to eat in restaurants, drink in bars, interact with the people of Glasgow, and go about their fucking business, and then go back to Germany. When they went back to Germany, they weren't allowed to do any of those things, but they were able to fly here and do all of those things in Scotland at the time, which seems utterly fucking bonkers.
It's very strange. It's very strange. I think the difference between the way that Germany are handling it and the way that, say, even Spain are handling it is Germany locked down, and the German society is much more. social based. You know what I mean? It's much more socialist. It's much more. It has much
What about
more
nationalism? How are they on that?
social nationalism.
I was thinking more national socialism, but yeah, whatever. No, man.
I mean, it's all right. You've already said that Spain are fucking an authoritarian place because of Franco, and then we did mention Mussolini. So it feels kind of we've still gone for the trifecta of European fascist states, really.
But Germany has had 32,986 confirmed cases, which makes them the 5th largest amount of confirmed cases in the world at the moment.
In the world, yeah.
And I would say, society-wise, there's probably, in my opinion anyway, more similarities between the UK and Germany than there is the UK and Spain or Italy.
Well, see, I would say, like, from a language point of view and from a culture point of view, probably, but from a society point of view, I think we're probably more like the Spanish. Like, I think that if the police and the army aren't on the streets, aren't locking down and aren't making people fucking stay in the house without being fined, they're still just going to ignore all that information and go out and fucking, yeah, fuck it, I can do what I want. Whereas that's not a very German attitude. German are much more straight-laced, like, and they've... I mean, but when they're told what to do, they just do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, shit, man, all of this just sounds like we're fucking skirting round. Like, fucking just like, so do you know what happened? It wasn't their fault. I mean, like it does sound like, but you know what I mean? Like,
back in like, coronavirus.
Back to coronavirus, no, but my point being that, like, in Germany, if they're told to stay in the house, to stay in the house. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing what the state, they understand that the state knows best.
And they were told early.
And they were told early, and they were also told in a concise and deliberate way. They were told, this is bad, this is what you have to do, as opposed to the fucking ass backwards bully way that the UK have done. We'll just get to the UK in 2 seconds.
Merkel's in quarantine.
Eh? Yeah, I'm aware of that, yeah. But with the Spanish, I mean, I would imagine that, see if you had watched what happened in Barcelona recently with the police, you'd probably just stay with the fucking police were saying right now, because they were literally battering fucking old women with fucking bats. Aye, for voting. So, you know, in the grand scheme, see if the police say stay indoors or we're going to hit you, I'm going with that, because I'm not calling the bluff on that one. Because, you know, do you see what happened? Do you see what happened to the entire fucking Basque region when they fucking disobeyed us? I just showed up, hot them all with bats.
Catalonia.
Oh, Catalonia, so it was. And the Basque region are pure choking to fucking go as well.
The Basque, they'll bomb the shit out of you. They're like...
They're a bit more bomby than the Catalonians.
Basque separatists are... you don't fuck with... They're like the Ra of southern France, northern Spain.
Actually, literally, some of them are the Ra of Northern France and Spain, because that's where members of the Ra went to go and fucking fight Franco.
Yeah, but ETA, that's what they were called, wasn't it? Not to be confused with PETA.
No, PETA, not as scary.
No.
Much more...
annoying.
Yeah, woolly. Not woolly, ironically. But anyway, what I was trying to get to is, so the police are driving about the streets, they're making sure that people aren't out jogging, they're making sure that people aren't out with dogs, they are actually locking the country down.
That's not true, because Michelle's cousin's there, and he was live streaming for Barcelona, actually, the other night, and the first thing I said to him was, is that kind of like walk his dog? He was like, aye, that and exercising are the only things you're allowed outside for in Spain.
Yes, but you have to have. So when I was reading through, they were stopping people on Sunday morning. Go out for, you have to have a dog. Right?
Is that gonna pretend one a bit?
Just like a leash when I know it's my invisible dog, mate.
Or what? A guy dressed up as a dog.
But they were stopping like Sunday morning joggers and Sunday morning dog walkers and stuff like that from being down the waterfront across various costas, because the problem that they had, not Costa, the coffee shop, so we're clear, but across, like, you know, your Del Sols and Del Mars and the likes, because they're so populated and busy at that time in the morning with people going out for a Sunday jog and that, so they were preventing people even at that point just doing the things that they're supposedly allowed to do. But the police cars are driving around the streets playing megaphones, telling people to stay in their houses. Like I said, there's drones in the streets of Madrid. Like, they're taking it very seriously. They are fining people, they are jailing people. And so there's about 3,000... I believe there's about 3,000 to 3,500 people so far that have been fined. Which, if you think about across the entire country, is pretty fucking good going. On the first day, we'll see. We'll get to that. So, curfews that have been put in place for people have been very strict, and it is getting a result where, even though the numbers are rising, they are not rising as quickly as they were rising in Italy.
Right.
So there is a benefit to being more strict as we look at Singapore, if we look at South Korea, and then if we look at somewhere like Spain that is culturally more kind of like us, like than certainly
still the fourth most.
I know, but like that's only because at the present moment Europe is the fucking hotspot for it across the board, and because it took us a long time to implement stuff that we already knew was happening. But the stronger implementation in Spain is having a knock-on effect. It's having a better control of the virus growth than, say, the more relaxed version that was happening in Italy, and the stronger version in Germany is having a better control of deaths, certainly.
Third most deaths in Spain as well, but I guess that's for a similar reason to Italy, in that they have a
aged population.
Yeah, a lot of them retired Brits who voted for Brexit. So the I guess what I was looking to get onto next then was the sort of strategy that the UK government have put in place, and how that's kind of evolved from very much a sort of, well, we're just going to let everybody get it, herd immunity type thing, to obviously quite increasingly more stringent measures being put in place. However, still quite unclear in the messaging. Me and you have certainly spoke this week, in the past week, between ourselves about how there was a lack of clarity in a lot of the messaging that was coming from the government. And interestingly, because, you know, you've been talking about Italy, you've been talking about South Korea. One of the things that struck me, I think about 2 weeks ago, it'll be 2 weeks on Sunday, actually, on Mar, there was a lady from South Korea who I believe is their head of policy for health. She came on to Andrew Marr and was talking about what South Korea have been doing in terms of testing and everything else, and how they've been dealing with the coronavirus. And the Italian ambassador to the UK was also on Mar talking about the same thing and their strategy, what they've been doing. Both of them very much laboured the point that transparency is key. So it's not just about telling people what you're doing, but it's about telling them why you're doing it, what data you're basing your decisions on, the science behind why you believe this is the best thing to do at this particular point in time. I have been kind of watching the press conferences from our government on a daily basis, and I think, while I do think there's quite a lot of positive things that have come out of it, by the way, and we'll get on to that, I do think that the transparency thing's been a bit lacking.
Well, a good example of that is today. As we record this, it's Tuesday, right? So it's the 24th, right? So today, Gove was obviously on this morning TV on, Good Morning Britain, whatever the going name is for that TV programme at the present moment. Right? So he's on it today, and he said, absolutely, definitely. So if kids are with one parent, they should not travel to their other parent's house if their parents are split. But
the official government guidance is that children under 18, that's one of the permitted movements.
No, yes. But he said today that he said today that they definitely shouldn't travel to the other parent's house, essentially. Like, they should just stay in. Like, the woman who was interviewing him even said, like, so does that mean it's like a kind of Russian roulette scenario where whatever parent the child was at the present moment is the parent that the child now has for the next, like, fucking 3 months, and they're not allowed to go and see their other parent? And he's like, pretty much, they have to just stay where they are, don't travel, whatever. And then the next show that he does 5 minutes later, like, he then comes out and says, maybe I didn't make myself clear. It's fine for him to spread to the other two places. It's like, transparency goes. All you have to
make yourself clear. That's just changed your fucking mind.
Right. But it's like transparency. All he has to do to make that okay is come on to the next show and say, I misunderstood what the guidelines were. It should actually be this. I made a mistake when I said that. Yeah. And what I did, as it turns out, I spoke to the people who actually are there looking at the guidelines. They've said, no, it's fine for them to spread it as long as they're under 18. Not fine for them to spread it. That'd be weird. It's fine for them. It's fine for them.
People.
It's fine for them to go between two parents. And see if we just done that, like, there's a level of humility that is totally acceptable, where it's just like, of course you got it wrong. There's like coronavirus and death and fucking shit going on all over the place. You can't fucking know everything.
You can't really begin to understand the level of stress these people are going to be under at the moment. And I am not somebody who has ever expressed any level of fucking sympathy for a Tory in my fucking life. But
especially no golf, by the way, so we're clear.
But I do not envy the position that those people are in at the moment. Like, it's not fucking easy. This is unprecedented. This is something none of us ever thought would occur in our lifetime. You know what I mean? It's fucking properly Hollywood fucking weird sci-fi fantasy shit that's going on at the minute, isn't it?
It's pure. It's like, the thing is, right, so I don't know what everybody else is that's listening to us and stuff, but like, I wake up in the morning at the present moment and I get up and it's like, go down and put my computer on because I'm going to be working, and then like I have myself something to eat, and then I'm sitting about my house and I've been here for fucking days, and then I check my Facebook and it's bleak as shit. Like, it's bleak as fuck. It's one of the most bleak things I've ever looked. So then I check the news and it's just like, cunts are dying all over the world. It's like, oh, what I saw in the other news? Oh, if we check the other news, Trump says cunts will not die here because he's a fucking roaster, right? And then you go to Italy and it's just like, we're running out of places to bury our dead. Whoa, fucking hell, Italy, that was fucking brutal. And then you go to China and it's just like, we're opening up the borders, we've not got any other cases, but also we genuinely now have bird flu. Fucking hell, China, you are fucking
Calm yourself, China.
You are fucking this. Holy shit, man, this is not the thing.
Madrid genuinely are using their biggest ice rink as a temporary morgue.
Oh, aye, because it's absolutely tragic as shit.
I thought you were going to say
cold as fuck. But we're going to be paying royalties forever for this episode. So I'm then kicking about my house.
The virus twice. Sorry.
I think you maybe can as well. Yeah. Anyway, so we're kicking about. So we're watching. So we're like watching some stuff, and then I'll play some stuff on the computer maybe later on. I'll maybe talk to some friends in a group chat, and then that's how my day finishes, right? And then I go to bed.
Like, and then for some relief.
For some relief. Thank fuck, it's only fucking once. And then I go to bed, right? And then I wake up, like I find myself like sitting at like 1 o'clock. Don't really sleep well, probably because there's some underlying stress occurring, maybe anxiety fucking building up a wee bit, probably something like that. And then I go to bed, and then I wake up in the morning and I do the exact fucking same thing again. It's like being in a submarine, only my submarine's got windows that I can see the outside.
See, weirdly though, I've been sleeping like a fucking baby, man. No issues whatsoever. No problem sleeping at all.
I just find myself like tired during the day.
Oh yeah, I'm tired during the day,
and then not tired at night. maybe because I
also had like a persistent cough and a high fever. I'm not sure what's wrong with me.
That's it. See, when I look through the list of things, it's just like cough and a fever and or a high temperature, and sweaty, and lethargic. It's like, that's what I've been for 20 years though. I don't since I was 15. That's pretty much where I go. I go to the doctor from time to time, get me check on that. He keeps on telling me that everything's fine. So he's either fucking lying to me or I've just got permanent corona.
Yeah, I've had quite sore, itchy eyes the past few days, but then it turns out the pollen count's high quite early this year as well. So
Well, that's it. So I was sneezing a wee bit, but it is pollen count, I believe, for me as well. Like I've not got any other symptoms. But yes,
but the environment that we're living in means that we're totally fucking paranoid about the tiniest. I think I've got a wee bit of a sore throat. Oh fuck, have I got corona?
dude, man, I was in Tesco a week ago, right? Because this is all relevant to the show, right? So I was in Tesco a week ago to go and just pick up. I had dropped the kids off at their mum's, and I was going back up the road, and I dropped into the wee Tesco on the way past, because obviously that's just round between my house and their mum's house, as you're aware.
Yeah.
So I jump in here to just get milk, and when I was walking towards the milk, I thought to myself, I need to cough. And then I thought, I can't cough, because if I cough in here, people are going to think I've got coronavirus. So I'm now suppressing a cough in a supermarket so people don't think I'm infected, even though I'm not infected. And I'm in fucking the arse end of coldness anyway, so I don't even care if I'm infected. That sounds horrible, but that's true. Right? So now my world is I can't cough in public or people are going to think I'm diseased. So I'm now ordering coughs so I can buy milk. That's mental.
Everybody's doing the same though. I think everybody's scared to suggest that they might be feeling even slightly under the weather in case folk think they've got corona. Like when I was at my work, even for the past 3 weeks, I was like, I've got a wee bit of a sore throat there. I better not say anything about that.
You had guys pure coming in, jogging in. You had guys pure coming in, jogging into work and all that, just like, I am healthy. I am fit and healthy.
Well, I'm not taking the piss here, right? And I know I kind of jokingly sang it earlier on, but pretty much constantly for the past 3 to 4 weeks, all day, the screensaver in my head is dung 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 my corona. It's just it's because I keep hearing the word corona and seeing the word corona, and for some reason I've conflated that with Sharona, and it's the soundtrack to my fucking day.
Soundtrack to the apocalypse.
Well, I imagine in the film of the end of the world that it will be the soundtrack.
But anyway, just to touch on exactly what you were saying there and what I was kind of getting to is there is now this surreal scenario where I feel like it kind of doesn't feel real. Like it doesn't feel real. Like I'm watching Boris Johnson and I know everyone else that I know is watching Boris Johnson willily talk around how like you should maybe stay in the house or maybe go out. Cheers for that, Boris. That was fucking great.
Just call it a lockdown.
But he's too scared to call it a lockdown because the stock...
Nicola called it a lockdown.
But the reason that Boris will not call it a lockdown is he's too scared that the stocks will take an absolute doing as soon as he says it.
You know, and this is the kind of the problem with when you've got a party in charge whose absolute first and foremost priority is the economy.
Profit over people. Profit over people.
This is not a time. And like some of the policy that they've kind of introduced or spoke about as being, you know, relatively socialist, and read a couple of articles. We'll get on to the big one is obviously the Times article that was written a couple of days ago by Tim Shipman and Caroline Wheeler, and it drew a lot of controversy for the basically the quote or the not quote that was attributed to Dominic Cummings, talking about herd immunity. So
letting old people die.
But I did want to start talking about this earlier. Never quite get a chance. The messaging's not been clear. The Italians and the South Koreans have been talking about transparency in decisions. I think, and I know I'm biased on this, and we've spoke about this off air in the past week because we've been talking about this stuff a lot. In my opinion, Nicola Sturgeon has been quite good on this. Like, the difference between her and Boris is that when she's been appearing on the TV and explaining the next steps, she has explained the why, she has explained the reasons, the science and the data, and this is why we're moving towards this. This is why we're about to do this. And she has been prepared to say this is a lockdown, you know.
Yeah, she also has been prepared to say, we don't know if this is going to work. Yeah. We don't know if this is the right thing to do. We will keep on changing it. Like, it's the humility. It's what I was talking about earlier on. It's having the ability to say, look, we don't fucking know, but this is what we're trying, and this is why we're trying it. And I was actually talking to family members today. Now, you are more than aware that I am not. I don't in any way, shape, or form particularly hate Nicola as First Minister. I'm not exactly the most fucking the most out and out supporter of SNP and lots of things to do with SNP.
Yeah.
But I don't think a politician could deal with it any better than Nicola has currently dealt with it. And we're just calling her Nicola there as if a fucking mate. I say, oh, Nicky, and like fucking, she was just like, here, lads, this is what I'm going to say. I hope it's all right. We're like, no, Nicola, don't. You need some humility in there. So you don't know what you're talking about. None of that happened. But she has handled it much better than Boris. And a good example of that is last night, Nicola Sturgeon went on live and she told the whole of Scotland that there was going to be lockdown. And yesterday, Boris had a pre-recorded fucking video that he had recorded telling them we're going to go in lockdown. And do you know how you could tell in the video that was pre-recorded? Because he's watched this 7:30. What a fucking roaster. Take your watch off. Change your fucking
actually your wee brother that fucking messaged me.
I was my brother. He done the same. He done the same to me, and then I had to fucking watch it because he had paused it. So what had happened was his wife was upstairs putting the kid to bed. So he paused the TV to wait for her to come down the stairs so they could both see it at the same time so he didn't have to recap. And while he paused it, he was looking at it and he was just like, his fucking watch is at the wrong time. He's meant to be in charge of your country.
Like, he can't really be trusted to come across well, whereas Rishi Sunak has like kind of became a media darling. And this guy's
just quickly as
the suit and talks all right. He should be the next Prime Minister.
Just quickly as a little side note, I sent my brother back a message saying it was pre-recorded. He's an absolute fucking roaster. And my brother replied saying, obviously, I didn't think he recorded it in Paris. And then I pointed at Matthew, Paris are an hour ahead of us. Why would it say 7:30? Like it's just fucking Brexit. I'm going to record this with Paris and set my watch 2 hours behind because fuck you and your time zones. But anyway, but it is very specific. He's going to be fucking raging. You know, he's going to be listening to this when he's at work, and then Matthew's going to hear this entire story. It's going like, but as the reality is of it, how many times did he have to film that? How many times was that the best outcome? Like the way he produced his words, that was the best possible way that he could tell them that we were kind of on lockdown. Like he couldn't like that was the best way that he could do it because that wasn't the first take. Do you know what I mean?
Wasn't he? Whereas in that situation, Nicola Sturgeon is prepared to come on the TV live, make a statement, and field questions from the press live on the TV.
Yes.
That's a difference in the fucking calibre of those two people, in my opinion.
Also, I had heard rumours, and maybe our media friends who listen to us might be able to confirm this. I had heard rumours that last Thursday, the press had been briefed that the story was going to be that there was going to be lockdown. But on Thursday late afternoon, the stock market started to take a tick upwards because there was lots of buyouts of cheap stock and it started to rise. So they decided to exit at the last minute so they could have another day of trading.
So the hedge funds picking up coin.
Now I can't guarantee that. It's only what I've heard through the grapevine, and we do have
Brody and fucking Jacob Rees-Mogg made some cash out of it though.
Well, I can guarantee you who made money out of it, but I can't guarantee that's definitely why it didn't then go ahead on Thursday. And our media friends will be able to confirm in the event they were briefed. But I believe that was what was meant to have happened. There was meant to be more stringent stuff put in place, but the stock started to look better, so they decided not to.
Well, if that's true, that's fucking shocking. So the rather excellent. Did you read this then? I sent you this earlier, and I sent you a login for the
that Times article.
Good one, good read.
Aye, as indeed.
So the big thing that came out of it, which got a lot of attention in the media, was the quote from Dominic Cummings. So it wasn't a quote exactly; it wasn't a direct quote, but
he was talking at a party, was he not? Was it not a fundraiser or a public an event that he was at that was lots of rich people? Like, you know what I mean? So it was a rich people party.
The specific paragraph in question in the Times, it said Dominic Cummings, the Prime Minister's senior aide, became convinced that Britain would be able to resist a lethal second wave of the disease next winter if Whitty, who is Chief Medical Officer's prediction that 60 to 80% of the population became infected was right, and the UK developed herd immunity. At a private engagement at the end of February, Cummins outlined the government's strategy. Those present say it was, in quotes, herd immunity, protect the economy, and if that means some pensioners die, too bad. So that was then spoke about a hell of a lot. By Friday, March 13th, Cummins had become the most outspoken advocate of a tough crackdown. So things changed a lot in those 2 weeks. Dominic himself had a conversion, the senior Tory said. He's gone from herd immunity and let the old people die to let's shut down the country and the economy. So there's two separate indirect quotes suggesting that Cummins had voiced the opinion that pensioners can just die. I think if we take anything out of this, once this is all fucking went past, it's that the people who are running the country right now, this most senior advisor to the Prime Minister, that's his opinion on human life. Let's not forget that.
Also, he's an awful person, right? Like Dominic Cummins is an awful person. He has shown time and time again he's an awful person. He is not in any way, shape or form elected to be in the position that he's in. He is just a guy who is in the sweetest fucking position on earth. He's like fucking Darth Vader version of fucking Malcolm Tucker. Do you know what I mean? Like, essentially, like, he's kicking about at the top end, advising the fucking Prime Minister. He is getting paid. There is he can advise him to do whatever the fuck he wants because there is nothing on him. Like, none of this ever comes back to Dominic Cummins. You know what I mean? Like, because he never said it, and like, I know he did in this case, but this is why it's such a big deal, because he doesn't say the stuff in public. He gets fucking Boris to say it, or, you know what I mean? Like, he's shaping the policy. But there is no onus on anything that he's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have
answer
to
anybody.
He doesn't answer to anybody. He doesn't take the brunt of anything. He doesn't, like, nothing comes back to him. And he's just there as just like a fucking baddie, kicking about being a baddie, man. He's like such a baddie.
Now, one of the most interesting things to me in this piece was the kind of graph that kind of demonstrated everything, but also the sort of sequence of events that kind of put in place. Tim Shipman is very kind of dialed in to what goes on in Westminster, particularly with the Tories, I think. And the fact that he was prepared to write this piece, I mean, it's a wee bit of a public service, I suppose, to a certain extent, because he's kind of fucking showing you exactly what's fucking going on in there. I think people need to know that, and if we're not getting transparency from the government, then at least we're fucking getting it from somewhere. So I do think it's to be celebrated, this piece of journalism, regardless of where it comes from. But
he's definitely going to lose favour in the Tory party. Like,
aye, probably.
They definitely have made enemies off the back of printing some of this stuff.
For sure. But interestingly, right, so I'm going to read a wee passage from it because I think it's important to read. So it says, the meeting that will change British society for a generation took place on the evening of Thursday, March 12th. That was when the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts, SAGE, the government's committee of scientists and medics, gathered to examine modelling from experts at Imperial College London and other institutions. The results were shattering. A week earlier, councils had been warned to expect about 100,000 deaths from COVID-19. Now Chris Whitty, the Chief Medical Officer, and Sir Patrick Vallance, the Chief Scientific Advisor, realised the estimates were wrong. The reason, I'm going to interject here, the reason the estimates were wrong is because they based the estimates on flu and pneumonia. They'd based it on something which that was not comparable, and that came out in a Telegraph piece a few days later.
Just to also interject, I call that flumonia, just so we're clear.
So unmitigated, the new death number was 510,000 people, a senior figure said. Mitigated, we were told it was going to be 250,000. Once you see a figure of take no further action and 250,000 people die, the question you ask is, what is action? Another insider said there was a collision between the science and reality. And there's a great graph in here that basically shows the different curves based on different so do nothing NHS.
Different policy shows the growth curve or the spread curve. Curve.
So do nothing curve had NHS above capacity, 500,000 deaths. Number 2, mitigation, which was the original plan, which was to quarantine individual cases, keep elderly indoors, and hope for herd immunity. That could have caused 250,000 deaths. The new plan, which is suppression, closing schools, social distancing for all, less immunity, it has us peaking above NHS critical care capacity, then dropping below it. But there will be a resurgence as measures end, and probably no resistance in the population. So obviously the modelling that they were given changed their mind. What they've seen from other places has changed their mind, but the piece sort of suggests that actually Matt Hancock was the health secretary was one of the only people in the cabinet that was very much pushing for this herd immunity thing's not a good idea. It got out into the public from David Halpern of the Whitehall Nudge Unit. He put the phrase in the public domain on the Wednesday, the 11th. 2 days later, Valence repeated the idea on Radio 4. Italy, France and Spain were going into lockdown at the same time, and people started to criticise Johnson of refusing to act because he wanted people to get ill. So this kind of brings us to a thing that we posted at the time on our Facebook page and our Twitter and stuff like that, which was a paper which was published by public health professors in the States, some of whom were English, 2 guys at Harvard and 2 guys from Boston University. Where is that? So yeah, it was a paper on ICU beds in the UK, essentially. And it came from Helen E. Jenkins at Boston University, Sarah V. Levitt at Boston University, Mary E. Bushman and William P. Hanage, who are both from Harvard School of Public Health. So William ended up being on the 10 o'clock news on the Saturday evening, basically talking about this paper and talking about the effect that the herd immunity strategy was going to have on public health in the UK. And they specifically focused on adults aged 20 to 40-year-olds. They did this because they have a lower fatality rate and a lower risk of hospitalisation, and to show basically what would happen if the government went through with their policy purely based on that age group. They conservatively estimated that 40%, rather than the UK government's goal of 60%, as it was at the time, of the population would become infected. And that would have left 7.3 million people in that age group in the UK infected at the time. They assumed 2.15% of confirmed cases would suffer a final endpoint, which meant admission to intensive care, use of mechanical ventilation, or death. So that would miss any infected individuals that didn't have symptoms or had mild symptoms, which we've already spoke about, Paul. There's looks like at least a third, maybe half of the people who've got it don't have any symptoms. And it was proposed that in the UK, approximately 8% of infections would be or have been laboratory confirmed. So on the 13th of March, this paper is saying that approximately 8% of the infections that we have in the UK were laboratory confirmed. We can take that in a minute and look at the amount of people that we have in the UK that have been confirmed and extrapolate it up, and we can make a best guess estimate on how many people actually have it in the UK right now. So therefore, they multiplied that estimate of 2.15% by 8% to give an estimated 0.17% of infected individuals aged 20 to 40 years that would need ICU. Basically, that ends up with, at the peak of the epidemic, 8,610 people between 20 to 40 years old would need an ICU bed in the UK. But we only have 4,100 ICU beds and high dependency beds in the UK at the moment. So
we're saying half of those people are dying.
Yeah, and that's only 20 to 40-year-olds who are the least likely.
No, that's not including all those. That's not including everyone above that who's dying anyway.
Yeah. So it was a very bleak paper, and this is just one paper, by the way, out of a whole number of papers that were coming from the medical community.
Well, I mean, that's what I was just going to say. So you will all know our theme tune. The other half of Kev, who writes our theme tune, Jean, she's a scientist. She's a university professor. And I don't actually know if she's a professor. She is a professor, isn't she? That's her. She's a lecturer, certainly at a university for science. She had ran the numbers. She had to put a post out about a week or two ago about Ireland. She had ran the numbers, and essentially she was pointing out that they were at now an exponential growth issue where it was growing every day. It was growing like 30%. So essentially, by every 2 and a bit days, but every 3 days, the amount of people that were infected was double, and it was growing because it seemed to be constantly growing at 30%. It was just getting out of hand so quickly, and there's only like, don't hold me to this number because I'm trying to fucking pull it out of my head, but there's like 600 ICU beds or something like that, and the Republic of Ireland, like there's like pretty much none. You know what I mean? Because there's no that many big hospitals, there's no that many big towns. They had a really, really small number. And there was no way they were ever going to be able to deal with the numbers of patients that they were going to have. And we're now seeing, I don't know if you're aware, they've seen something today in the States. It's saying every 3 days the number of infected is doubling. So it'll be roughly about a 30% growth rate as well. So it seems to be a steady growth rate of, even the numbers you were saying earlier on, it seems to be a steady growth rate of about 30% a day. Yeah. That would pretty much means about 2 and a bit days. Every 2 and a bit days you'd be hitting like 100%. You would be doubling, you know what I mean?
So
it would be less than 3 days.
So it means that essentially the government were put under so much pressure, and it does look like behind the scenes you had Dominic Cummings had changed his mind. Matt Hancock seemingly was pushing more stringent measures, and Boris Johnson was the guy who was unsure about it. But also, it's like what happened was that Rishi Sunak seems to have sat down with 2 of the guys who were working with him. So Charles Roxburgh, who is the second permanent secretary, and Andrew Bailey, who's the new governor of the Bank of England. They're both people
baddies.
They were both involved in the response to the 2008 financial crash. So they sat down. They sat down.
Bet they made money off it. I know I can't guarantee it, but I bet they fucking made money off it.
Probably. But they sat down and sort of hashed out basically what people were saying is like what would have been 3 months worth of policy in 48 hours in order to kind of put Rishi Sunak's policies forward for like helping businesses out, ensuring that people aren't made redundant, etc. Hasn't done anything for the 5 million self-employed people in the UK as of yet, which includes myself and Paul, but hopefully we'll see something come soon. However, this fucking bit of it really...
Was there not a website? There is a helpline, I believe, that got put out today.
Yeah.
For self-employed people. To HMRC.
Fuck HMRC. So
tell me about it.
So this bit jumped out at me though as like the lowest expectation bullshit I've ever fucking heard in my life, right? So they were talking about the confidence that fucking civil servants have in this Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor guy, who, by the way, I think has came out of this very well. He
has. Like, he seems like a competent front bencher. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like, of all the people that are currently a member of the Tory party at the present moment, he certainly has sold himself to many non-Tory voters as someone who is competent at doing the job that he's doing.
I mean, for two reasons, I suppose. Number one, he's pushing policy that is not traditionally very Tory at all. Because he's like, oh, we're actually
socialist, pure socialist policy. And folk are just like, I like this socialist guy.
Government are going to pay people's wages, but I think like there's an element of it as well where he's not a guy who's always been a politician. Like, he's came from a business background, he's done other things, so he's got a level of competence from the actual real world that maybe makes him come across quite well.
He also has that component that we spoke about before, which is Britain vote for politicians who look and act and dress and come across as politicians. How you expect him, like, that man is better than me, so he can tell me what to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the most basic term, like, it's a simplified way, but that's essentially what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, that man is businessman and he knows what he means. You know what I mean? Like, rather than.
But he's also like when you see, I've seen a couple of press conferences where it's been like him and Boris in front of the cameras behind lecterns and whatever, and someone's fucking fired a question directly at Boris, and Boris has just went, just like looked over at him and like kind of gestured. Oh, do you want to take this?
Competent one. Do you have an answer?
And then he's just like picked it up and he's just spoke away and whatever. Now I'm going to criticise him. I'm not going to criticise him specifically, but I'm going to criticise the fucking low expectation that we clearly have of our politicians, and I'm talking about from within fucking the civil service. So some ministers, this is like talking about how this is like what normally happens versus what he has done. Okay, so colleagues say Sunak's confidence came because he is deeply engaged in the weeds of the policy. So they're saying that he's came across as confident in the press conferences and he'd be able to speak about this stuff because he understands it, because he knows the fucking details of it, right? And then
because he was involved in creating the policy.
Right. So it says, quote, some ministers set the broad parameters for 15 minutes and then the officials, the civil servants, go away and do the work, said one source. He's more hands-on. He prefers a 30 to 40 minute meeting where he can properly kick the tires and help solve the problem. He's across the detail. So normally folks spend 50 minutes on it. He spent half an hour to 40 minutes. So he's fucking brilliant. Now I'm fucking
the thing is, half an hour to 40 minutes means it was like easier, like 36 minutes or something, you know, 34 minutes. Like, it wasn't even 40 minutes. They've went, say half an hour, and they've went, oh, half an hour doesn't sound long enough. Say half an hour to 40 minutes.
Can you imagine how much of your job you would be able to do if you just fucking spent half an hour on it and went, I'll be it done then. You sort that out, right?
I wish I had a group of folk where I could just go in and just go, problem with what the servers are doing. Not a problem. How's about you fucking fix them? And then just fucking leave. And then just like, and then
half an hour, they would think you were amazing.
And then my boss phones me up and it's just like, what you getting done with the servers? Like, I've got the boys to fix it. And they're like, good. When would that be? Don't know. A day.
Just like, in what other walk of life would that be acceptable? Like, it's the entire fucking country is falling to fucking pieces. Our economy is fucked. Our people are potentially going to die. We're all locked in the house. And folk are going, he fucking spent half an hour to 40 minutes on that. That's impressive.
I know. The thing is, see when they were lying about it, like, see when they were lying about how long it was going to be, and they were like, like half an hour, and people were like, half an hour, and they're like, like 40 minutes. What did they just say? 45 minutes, might have even been an hour. I mean, let's just give him a wee bit. It was a whole hour-long meeting. He was in, and he stayed there for he didn't even fucking eat a sandwich or anything for the whole fucking meeting. Like, but the thing is, in saying that, so say you've got him and he's standing there and you've got your entire front bench. Remember, he's standing next to Boris and Priti Patel. So all he has to do is not be Boris or Priti Patel. Like, and she is arguably one of the worst things in the Tory party right now.
She's Priti Patel.
We're recording. No, she's totally fucking failed upwards as well. She just gets sacked everywhere until she becomes in charge of the country. And then, Aye, and then now the new bill. So the new bill. So we've not spoken about that yet. But the new bill that they're going to pass, that's she's going to have she specifically her named her job, but her job. She has the ability to just wake up one day and say all ports are closed. Now, gone in the idea in that interview, you've seen the interview. You've seen the interview where it's the guy and he's going, don't say counter-terrorism, and she keeps on saying counter-terrorism when she means terrorism, right? So that's the same person who doesn't know the difference between the word terrorism and the word counter-terrorism. Like, has the inability.
I said it's frightening.
She doesn't have the ability to distinguish the difference between those two words, and she's got the ability to wake up one morning and go, that's all the ports and airports closed. Like, she might just do it because she's shite as a person. Like,
the thing is, like, there's a good argument for that, though.
What, that she's shite as a person?
That.
Or that she's... Oh, no, the thing is, it's like, good that she can do that. It's good
coming in, I think.
Aye, yeah, no, absolutely. No, but don't get me wrong.
UK citizens maybe back, but even that...
I know, because you're still bringing infection back. But even then, like, the idea that she can do it is fine. The idea she can do it is where the problem lies. Because remember, we're talking about a member of staff that MI5 and MI6 are like, we can't tell her any secrets, even though her job is the person who tells the Prime Minister the secrets, because we're scared that if we tell her secrets, she might just fucking tell somebody because she's a moron. That's actually...
And that's all expenses paid trips and tell them to the Israelis.
Aye, but that's actually that's what our secret services. One of the times, but that's what our secret service. That's what our special agencies have decided. They can't tell the person who literally it's their job to be told any information because she's a fucking mad mutant that's going to tell everybody.
Bad crack, isn't it, really?
It's a terrifying situation.
Another interesting thing I fucking pulled out of this was the fact that basically all the people behind the scenes think Johnson's very decisive. So, like, they were talking about the big decision on the Wednesday that schools would close on Friday, which obviously I had to talk through with the Education Secretary, the Gavin Williamson boy. But it says they decided to act because schools were starting to take matters into their own hands. And it says...
Getting the kids to fight, like Thunderdome.
Battle Royale, just throwing some weapons in the playground.
You're running a temperature where you can fight to see if you survive. It
says it was another decision Johnson had resisted the week before, but cabinet ministers are clear that behind the scenes he has been far more decisive at crunch moments than his predecessor. He's been absolutely brilliant, said one.
Theresa May, though.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the reason. This is the reason I brought it up, because it's a great quote about Theresa May. He makes decisions fast. Another said, if Theresa May would still be in charge, we would by now have just about signed off a request that people wash their hands. Another cabinet source added, and if Philip Hammond was still Chancellor, he would have refused even to pay for that. So yeah, that made me laugh. But like, there is an element of this where it's like clearly a bit of a fucking puff piece, like, you know, try and fucking make people warm to the fucking government a little bit.
Another thing that we've actually got that kind of is on the same track, so obviously we are very out of character for our show, saying positive things about certain action created by Tories. Now, I think we're about to say something that's more out of character than anything that we've ever said before, which is... Piers Morgan.
Oh, man.
like Piers Morgan. There is not a bone in my body that's ever just like, do you know what I'm glad about?
Jellyfish.
mostly jelly. There's not a bone in my body. I thought now would be a good time to bring it up. That's why I can't catch coronavirus.
Best kept secret in podcast in history. Paul does that phone.
I'm just like a fucking gelatinous fucking mound. Piers Morgan dragged the government. Like, he fucking called them out for being inept at what they were doing. Like Piers Morgan, you know, him, that walloper, like that absolute spunk trumpet of a man, done what a real journalist should do.
Out on my Twitter the other day to find Owen Jones praising Piers Morgan and was like,
I know, and then I looked outside and there was nobody out in the streets, right? And there's nobody allowed to be out. And I put on the TV, it's like everything's in lockdown. It's just like, this is the fucking end of times.
I opened up my little book of Nostradamus prophecies, and it turns out that this is one of the signs of the apocalypse. So Piers Morgan got torn into Matt Hancock basically for exactly this, exactly what we're talking about, for the fact that the government totally switched their policy, changed their position on things. And Matt Hancock essentially tried to claim that herd immunity was never official policy. Piers Morgan was like, well, that's not true. Your chief medical officer said it on Radio 4. This guy fucking said it, blah, 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 blah. No. It was never formally said. It was never formal policy, blah, 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 blah. And brilliantly, in the middle of Good Morning Britain, which I've actually never fucking sat and watched, but I've watched the clip of it.
I've seen YouTube clips of it. That's the only time that I've ever seen it. Usually Piers Morgan either being a roaster or on a very, very odd occasion saying something that I mildly agree with.
Yeah, it's the only time.
And then this once.
But he's like he basically is like, well, hold on a minute, let's just watch it. This is a clip of fucking Witty from Radio 4. Let's just watch this and our viewers can make their own mind up. And he basically fucking stands there and go, we're pushing for herd immunity, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And honestly, man, see when it cuts back, fucking Matt Hancock's face is an absolute picture. He's just like, he looks fucking raging. But, you know, we need more of that. I think, like, even...
It shouldn't be coming from Piers Morgan, though. Like, if that's what's happened, like, it's good that it is. Like, but like the fact that we, first and foremost, the fact that we're at a scenario in the fucking crisis that we're dealing with, the pandemic that we are fucking dealing with, that Piers Morgan has been the fucking sound fucking journalist who is fucking dragging the fucking whoever it is that's representing Parliament who's in front of him for poor policies. Like, he should be doing that, but we should not be expecting that to be coming from Piers Morgan. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and like, right, so here we've been quite positive. We've said some good things. We've said some good things about the government tonight, right? Let's wait up. Let's wait up here. Let's take a moment, and after this, we'll maybe draw a line under the coronavirus and talk about a couple of other things that we were planning to talk about, because we have a couple of other things there. On the one hand, we both agree the messaging from the government's been poor. Yeah?
Yes.
And there's not a lot of clarity on what's going on. They need to make definite decisions, and they certainly need to make more provisions for self-employed people, which is 5 million people in the country. It's a significant proportion of the population. And the Tories would always sell themselves as someone who looks after hard-working people who want to set up small businesses, etc., right? They missed the boat initially with their policy. They should have shut things down quicker. However, you can't necessarily give someone shit for getting something wrong, but then changing their mind to pursue the correct.
Once they've got better data. No, absolutely.
So, you know, they got it wrong, but they
deserve the right to be corrected, and they made the right decision now based on the data
right,
that's available.
I mean, that's basically our whole fucking shtick, isn't it? That we've all.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's why even I'm absolutely definitely on record on social media saying that although I've criticised how long it's taken, the decisions that Boris had made at the end of last week and at the start of this week are the right decisions to have been made, and I wouldn't criticise him for them.
But we do have a situation where there's a lot of people still going to work because business is making them go to work, and because they haven't, because they've made recommendations and they've advised, they haven't actually stated this is what needs to happen immediately, etc. So that lack of clarity has led to
had a negative impact. This is a negative impact.
Interpretations of what they've said, etc., etc. They need to be clearer on that. What else would you criticise them for?
What, the current Tory fucking government? Jesus Christ, Jerry. Right, so, number one.
Just in terms of how... So, they haven't stopped travel into the country. That should...
No, they haven't stopped travel into the country. They are not part of... They haven't taken up being involved with the EU... what's the word I'm looking for? Like the tender process, the acquisition of ventilators and masks and all that kind of stuff, which they're entitled to at the present moment, as we're still currently a member of the EU until the end of December. So they should be, but they've chosen not to, and instead go out to their own supply chains for that, which, by the way, are currently fucking non-existent because we've never had to deal with that before. But that's another thing. But that's a good one. They've no dealt with that properly.
They've never made ventilators before to make ventilators for us right now.
I mean, that is what I will say is I can't really fully criticise the Tories for that. I know that certainly America have got Ford and Tesla are meant to be building ventilators for them because, well, they can't spy in motors, essentially. Like, so they have to do something.
There's an ISO standard, there's an ISO standard for ventilators, which you need to become... Well, no, it has to, every ventilator has to be built to that spec. That's the...
I know, but what I was going to say is ISO standards... Don't get me started on ISO standards. I have issues with ISO across the board.
I'm an engineer. ISO exists for a fucking reason.
I know, but ISO, like, lots and lots of ISO standards are dictated to by the people who are actually creating them rather than dictated to by best practice. There's a set of guidelines and you set out the outline for the way that you're going to do something. So, for example, if you look at like fucking whatever it is, 9001, 9002 for IT standards, right? You've got a very, very, very broad set of guidelines, and then you have to say what you're doing to stay in those guidelines. Yes. But I guess it's a nonsense sequence of events.
Different thing from an ISO relating to how a ventilator should be designed and built. Like,
I mean, just build them with whatever. Just build them.
9001 applies to everybody. Like, it's about auditing, it's about keeping records, it's about traceability, it's about management of change. You know.
So we're clear. All I said was I've got issues with ISOs because I do have issues with ISOs because a whole pile of it is fucking nonsense. Like, don't get me started. I said don't get me started on ISOs, and I have an issue with ISOs. I didn't say every single ISO is a problem. I said I have an issue with ISOs, and don't get me started on ISOs. I made that clear because there's a lot of the ISO stuff that's absolute fucking nonsense that doesn't benefit for existing. Doesn't benefit by existing. Now, yes, there is standards that the ventilators have to be built to. One would imagine that whoever they're getting to build fucking ventilators are trying to adhere to those standards. Otherwise, I could just fucking build one myself.
Standards are there for a reason. Like, standards, like all of most of my job is about adhering to standards, you know what I mean? But they're there to protect people. Sometimes...
But that's how much that's why you love your job, right? That's why you're always phoning me up saying, Paul, I fucking love this. This is the best thing in the world all the time. That'll be the reason, because of all that pure fucking standard stuff you like. No, you fucking hate it as well. But the only difference is the standards you're adhering to stop fucking people dying at an oil rigs. That's the difference between the two different types of standards.
Like, so I can understand why you've got a different opinion of them to me, but like... I guess if you don't adhere to a standard in IT, it's got a very different impact from if you don't adhere to a standard for electronic equipment in an explosive atmosphere.
Don't know, dude. I've lost hospitals before. I've genuinely, like, because of my background in healthcare, like, that's not a made up sentence. Like, so, you know, sometimes if you don't adhere to IT, it definitely does cause problems as well. But I know, I hear what you're saying. Like, if you've got, you have to have a certain standard for like medical equipment, for electronic equipment. Believe me, I've built and designed, weirdly, medical equipment. Let's never get into that conversation on here. But I've, from the base, from not existing at all, fabricated and blueprinted and built from scratch, programmed and had them for... So I'm very aware, do you know what I mean? In hospitals right now working. Something that I designed. That's mental. For so many fucking reasons. So, like, I'm quite good at my job for those who are listening, but I'm just like, I'll talk it down. But, you know, better.
So, are we going to talk about the care homes in Spain?
Oh shit, man, we don't know why we didn't talk about that when we were in Spain. So the long and short, it is the bleakest story that has came out of fucking this so far, that's came out of Corona now. And the thing is, there was one closest, so up until this story came out, the bleakest story I'd heard was a relatively young boy, like in his late teens, early 20s, was feeling really run out. Like, fucking, this feels like I'm fucking telling you a fable. It's no fucking... But, he was very run down with the coronavirus and he wasn't getting any better, so he decided to go to hospital. And when he went to go to hospital, the reason he wasn't getting any better is because that's how he discovered he had leukemia.
Dude.
So up until today's story, that was the most tragic story that was there. And so we're clear, there was another story that was on par with that, which is one of the cases that happened in Glasgow. They came into the hospital at 4:00, diagnosed with coronavirus, and they were dead by 10. Again, pretty bleak.
How old were they?
Not as bleak as, I mean, in the danger zone, and they had pre-existing medical conditions.
The danger zone. Don't.
Like, I wasn't... No, but I mean, like, what I mean is, like, I wasn't a child or anything, do you know what I mean? Like, it was someone that had pre-existing... But yeah, there was a young boy who, and he didn't know, he felt like his breathing was getting more and more laboured and stuff like that, and his body wasn't fighting the disease, so he went in to find out, and then they told him he had leukemia, and he was dead like the next day.
I wonder what the doctor's bedside manner was in that respect.
I mean,
when you're like, the good news is you're not going to die of coronavirus.
The bad news is, no, but the thing is, that's the problem with actual. See, this is so we were talking about this. I have nurses who are very close to me, right? We were talking about this, and no, but exactly that. One of the big problems that you're going to have is that people are going to go into hospital with coronavirus not knowing that they've got fucking mild diabetes or fucking particularly high blood pressure or cancer, and what actually, like, the only reason they found out is because the coronavirus has hurt them so hard they didn't know they had underlying medical conditions, so they've not even prepared for knowing, you know what I mean? We've already got, like I said, there's certainly a case of this, but a young lad went in and then they found out and then he was dead, and that's what happened. But we managed to find a story today that fucking superseded this for the fucking world of bleak shit that's happened in Corona.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were about to tell me something positive, but I just realised that there's something much worse.
No, just I found a fucking much more bleak story, because that story is, unfortunately, without being too dour, that kid was ill anyway and didn't know he was ill. And because he didn't know he was ill, and because when he went in he had stage 3 leukemia, by the way, it's not like it was just like a mild bout of leukemia, do you know what I mean? Like, he had like... No, but you know what I mean? Like, no, but that's why I say... No, but that's why I said it that way, because what I mean is, like, it's not like it was like early stages and he was going to be able to fight it. Essentially, it was fucking all but terminal anyway and didn't even know he had it. So by the time that he would have fucking discovered it,
too late.
It would have been too late anyway. So these things do happen and are going to happen. But in Spain, the military had to kick down the door today, or yesterday, probably not today, but yesterday, of a residential housing area, like care
for
home,
elderly people.
For elderly people, kicked down the door because the door was essentially locked, and they went in, they found all the old people dead in their beds.
Some of them are alive.
Boo, boo, boo.
But had coronavirus and had been abandoned, or just been abandoned because other people had coronavirus in there.
Coronavirus, yeah. So there's a whole load of variables to this that we don't fully know yet, as in people could have left because the virus was so rife there was nothing they could have done. Not really the right way to go about just leaving people to die in the beds alone. Granted, that's not the best process. There could have been people who thought other people, like people who are either in isolation or who are in the hospital or who have passed away, who should have been taking care of them, who presumed other people were taking care of them, so nobody checked. Do you know what I mean? There is lots of situations where some awful sequence of events is played out and it only takes one or two horrible bastards to lock the door and leave and nobody else knows. You know what I mean? So what I would say is, I get takes everybody who works there to
get on board with that decision.
Do you think so? See, I don't. I think in a
It's
normal
easy
day.
to judge. I also think it's easy to
No,
judge.
I think in a normal day, I would agree with you. It would take everybody, but I think that in the middle of isolation and lockdown and quarantines and curfews and people being committed into hospitals, it takes a much smaller number of people to make an awful decision that's resulted in that.
But again,
you know what I mean?
You know, potentially the people that made that decision aren't awful people. They're just in a
They thought they were making the only decision that they could, or they're stressed, or they're fucking
scared.
anxious, or depressed, or scared as fuck. You know what I mean? Like.
But yeah, it's certainly, it's certainly not
but
something where you read it and go, "Oh, look at all the good in humanity."
You know, it's definitely like, it was like, when I read that story today, it's like, this is a fucking low for European fucking community. Like, this is dark.
But you know, so maybe we should take a moment to talk about a lot of the, like, certainly in our local community, there's been a lot of good stuff happening. There's been a lot of people trying to help old elderly people, and you know, getting in touch with them, putting things through doors, and try to get shopping for them and what.
Did you see that woman that was doing Reiki healing from 8 o'clock? Like, there's a high possibility. Now, I know that the other moderator of that page, because, like, I don't know if you are, but I'm one of the moderators on the page, and you're a moderator as well, right? So yeah. I thought you probably would be. So me and your moderators on the page, and the other moderator on the page. Now, my brother sent me a message that says, I'm leaving this page.
I don't know if I can do this.
I'm leaving this page before I get kicked off the page. And I just replied, Matthew, that was the only time so far that I've thought, well, I'm going to have to ban her off the page because like, the thing is, I know that the other moderator listens to our show. I know that the person in question who was offering Reiki healing, fucking remote Reiki healing from 8 o'clock, Disney, right?
Angelic Reiki healing.
Right. As opposed to normal Reiki healing. Did you see my post that said Reiki the House material? I was happy with that. Like, you know, Reiki the House juice. Like,
just been fucking discontinued as well for the immediate future.
No, it's Reiki the House juice. Reiki the House juice is different. It's usually for a distance. Right, so, but you know, there's been people offering Reiki. There's been people offering going to pick up stuff in our community. Have you seen the video of people in Leith singing Sunshine on Leith?
That's beautiful.
You say beautiful.
I love that song anyway.
So do I, but I've also been to Leith.
I pretty much lived in Leith.
That's one of the reasons that I have been to Leith.
You were king about there on mushrooms.
No, back then you could be. Back then you could be. That's grand. That was legal back then. I bought a bit of shop on that. It was fine.
You bought a bit of shop. That's true.
I mean,
you did drag them out, so they were class A's.
No, that's right. That's right. We didn't either. No, it was totally legit.
No, you just let them wet.
Aye. No,
I was at work. I just came back and you were on milk.
It might have been tea, or we might have just ate them.
I don't know what you done. You were definitely melted.
I tell you, that's the whole load of things that went on that day that definitely can never be fucking recorded.
There was so I just remember getting home for work.
Watch what names you say here, by the way, as well. I'm
not saying Andy's name.
Good.
I get home for work. I was working in a kitchen at the time in a restaurant, cleaning dishes and shit like that. It was in the middle of the festival as well, so it'd been a hard fucking shift.
And it was also like your first shift, didn't it? Because you had only just moved into the flat. Because it was the other two's first night at their new job that they didn't go to.
Oh yeah, they were supposed to be flyering, weren't they?
Aye.
And instead they get fucked up in mushies. So I get home.
Telling this story. Fucking tell it. Let's go.
I get home for a fucking absolutely terrible, fucking really hard. Like I think maybe a 12-hour shift or something ridiculous. Like it was a long shift.
Because you had only just moved into that flat. Because I was up for about 5 days or something.
Come into the flat, only to be told about what an amazing day you still had, saying mad shit on it. And then this happened, and then there was shit flying out the fucking and then we saw this fucking the wall was great. I was watching dishes. Fuck off, you cunt.
There was like 90s dance music playing out the fucking window at like 3,000 decibels in the middle of the fucking night.
As I walked up to the house.
And the thing is, you weren't expecting to come to the house with just me in it, because everybody who actually lived in the house was meant to do it at work. And they weren't.
No.
They're in the living room dancing with me. It's happening, Jerry. Gone are those days. That was some time ago.
Good days. So,
So fucking
yeah,
glories. No, so what's nice is the help it, like there is a weird, like, this is another part of the thing that makes it like some kind of weird dream that, like, you've got. I mean, I sent you the article, obviously. The Independent had posted the article that said to get through this, we're going to have to be socialists. Like, you've got people making food.
It was a Telegraph.
Oh, it was a Telegraph, sorry. It wasn't
Which is
even
through the looking glass shit.
I think that's
Barclay Brothers on their fucking island.
they were just like, we're going to have to sacrifice another virgin.
However, you do understand why they would be pushing that line, right?
Because they've got a sex dungeon that we spoke about in like our first episode.
Because the alternative would be for them as billionaires
They have to put out money.
Look after the people who work for them. Far better for the government to do it. And actually, like, the penny literally just dropped for me in this moment, having this conversation with you. The reason that all of a sudden the establishment are going, you know what, actually socialism is a really good idea, is because all the people who own these businesses, they want to keep their own money and they want the government to pick the fucking bill up. It's socialising the debt. Yeah, it's 2008 all over again. We bailed out the bankers in 2008, and now we're going to bail out the whole business world. And I promise you, when this is over, we'll be the cunts that are paying for it.
Oh, it is. I mean, this is it's the whole quantitative easing thing, which is we're going to have to pay back this money. Like, this money is like the 330 billion that has been pulled out the arse of nowhere. We're paying that back. I mean, like, we are paying that back, but it'll just be paid back over the next 20 years or 30 years, which will just be added to the deficit, the lending. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, it's such a fucking extortion. It's such a large amount at this point, it doesn't matter anymore.
I've just realised I'm going to need my axe, Paul.
Why, Gerard?
Because we can't. This is shit's going to kick off.
But you know, he is in like, whoa, let's bring it down for 2 seconds. So what we're saying is it's not going to get any better regardless, because the world can't go back to the way it is.
We can't let it go back. Like, so basically what's happening is all the cunts with all the money are letting are trying to fucking let the government bail everybody out of this. And we're going, the government are being really sound, but actually no, the rich people are being cunts.
Well, I mean, so do you know that Amazon are employing
after this, we're the ones who are going to fucking get taxed more to pay for it.
Do you know, like, Amazon are hiring something ridiculous, like 100,000 new fucking members of staff?
Are they essential?
Well, yeah, because
Amazon.
Well, across the whole of the world, I think, because what they're doing is they have to use it to ease the amount of extra work that they've got in all the warehouses because everybody's ordering. Essentially, Amazon are consolidating power here. People can't go to places, people can't get anything, and Amazon have the entire infrastructure to be able to deliver anything around the world, and they have all their own planes, and they have all their own trucks, and they have all their own drivers, so they can keep running indefinitely.
And I can't remember if we spoke about this in an earlier episode, but Jeff offloaded a bunch of shares at the start of the year.
Do you know another thing? Have you something that we weren't going to talk about because it's not in the last, but I'll just mention it quickly. You know that have you seen the recent fallout with the various members of the House that the House that all sold after shares just before the stock market crash?
Of what?
There. See how the stock market started, like, see how the horrendous crash that we've seen over the last couple of, well, like 4 or 5 quite prominent, both Republicans and Democrats, shifted all their shares just before it happened.
House, right.
Aye, that house, the American house.
The house.
Whose house? Robert Run's house. That's no, but the House of Representatives, like congressmen and women.
Cool.
But like 5 of them, 6 of them, shifted all their shares just before everything collapsed.
But it's been reported. I was reading today that Trump was advised and Boris was advised.
January.
Yeah, like December actually, from the intelligence services that there was a serious danger that this was all going to happen because they'd obviously been watching what was happening in China.
I mean, in Boris's defence, that information in January would have had to have come through Priti Patel. So he may still be waiting for that piece of information to be given to him because she's a pure roaster. She might have told him the exact opposite of what she had been told.
Coronavirus. Gonna leave it for now.
I think we've touched on
coronavirus.
I mean, we have touched on. I mean, it's not been a solid 3 hours on coronavirus. Fucking calm your fucking jets. It's been about an hour and 45 on coronavirus and about an hour and 15 on nonsense. We've spoken about me fucking taking bushes. We've spoken about fucking. The first part of the show was you searching for a fucking video on fucking YouTube and then listening to it.
I loved how it was like, imagine all the people. That's not how that song goes. You just stop just mashing bits together. That's nonsense.
Imagine all the people. Imagine God above. That's not even the right words.
Yeah, it was the worst version of any song since All Saints decided to do Under the Bridge.
I don't know. I reckon Yoko Ono could do a fucking good job at singing Imagine worse than that.
Or we mentioned the Backstreet Boys earlier on, and
not about 2 minutes ago, and it was you that mentioned it. But anyway,
this always, like, every time I think of the Backstreet Boys, just pops into my head now. But you remember that? Remember they had that song "Backstreet's Back"?
Yeah, where were they back from?
I don't know. Fucking. I think they probably brought coronavirus to the US. But it was like the rest. There's like, I don't know if there was 4 or 5 of them. Just a bunch of cunts, anyway, right? Just.
It'll definitely be 5. That's how boy bands work.
It was only 4 in Westlife, was there no?
Was there not 5 and then 1 left? Same as Take That.
Hopefully one of them died or something.
There's some important fucking groundbreaking chat there. People managed to lure people in, Jerry. Finally, we've got to it. We've got 3 hours of people listening to the news and fucking us talking about news and sources, and then they're just like, and now we get to talk about our favourite subject, boy bands from the late 90s. Welcome to Boy Bands in the 90s with Jerry and Paul. So, Jerry, who was your favourite member of Westlife?
It's about in that song where they're like, "Am I original?" And all his mates are like, "Yeah. Am I the only one? Yeah."
And then he sings, "I'm a sexual."
Sexual. And all his mates are like, "Yeah." What the fuck's that all about?
Well, what do you mean? Was it, if any of my mates had turned around to me at any point and said, "I'm a sexual," I'd be like,
they would not be going, "Yeah."
I mean, I would go, "What do you mean?"
Are you coming on to me?
Sexually active. Sexually attractive.
Name your Eckies for you, son.
Aye. Been a long time since I had to say that to somebody.
Anyway, right. So
this is what happens. Like, this is what happens when you're in fucking lockdown, right? Like, things get fucking just that way. But it's like, it doesn't matter if people know about my fucking sordid history anymore. Fuck it. What are they going to do? I'm trapped in the house forever.
I never did any of that stuff. I was just
fucking watch it.
I never inhaled.
No, fucking watch it, because you outed me this evening about doing various things. So there will be a return on that at some point.
So coronavirus, we're done with that. I think we've covered that. I think we've pretty much solved coronavirus. Now.
So you're clear. In the event you don't know what we've got to, it's essentially stay in the fucking house unless you need to and stop spreading it, right? Just stop spreading it, because you might not get ill, or you might not have symptoms of getting ill, or you might only get mildly ill, but you might spread it to like fucking... Like, essentially, if you spread it to like 2.6 people, it ends up in fucking 2 days or something, 5 days being spread to like 400 people. There's an exponential growth chart that shows you this. Whereas if you half that, it spreads to like 30 people. And if you half that again, you just spread it to 0.68 people, which, by the way, isn't the amount of people. But say you do only spread it to just over half a person, it only then spreads to 2.5 people. Whereas if you spread it to 1 and 3/4 people, it spreads to 30 people. But if you spread it to 2.5 people, it spreads to like fucking 400 people in a couple of days.
Minimise your social contacts. Stay at home. Wear latex gloves if you go outside. I think that's a good thing to do if you have them.
Or
if
like a condom in every finger.
If you have latex gloves in the house, why?
What the fuck's going on with you? I think I might have some of my toolkit in saying that.
I have a massive box of them up the stairs because Michelle uses them when she's dyeing her hair.
You were going to say, I thought you were going to make a wanking joke. Because like sometimes it's good to like get it right lubed up and slippy, and I don't want to do my hands because I'm obsessively clean about my hands. So I wear a glove and it makes it a bit slippier, to be honest. But the thing is, make sure you don't get powdered because that mucks up and it makes it like muddy, and you don't want that.
It makes your spunk goes all weird at the end. No, I just I mean, surely if you're going to that route, is it not just easier to just stick a Johnny on and have a posh wank?
Well, I mean, essentially all you're doing,
probably cheaper.
It's literally the exact same thing, only your Johnny in your hand instead of your dick.
Wrong. It's not exactly the same thing, because if you've got a fucking condom on and you're having a wank, you're containing all the fucking effluent that
party fluids.
Yeah, party fluids. You're containing everything that happens at the end. Whereas, wear a glove all you want, but your spunk's still going to go fucking everywhere at the end, isn't it? However,
so for those aspiring posh wankers out there, remember, Johnny over glove.
But I think you could probably get about 500 nitrile gloves for about £6. You're probably only going to get like 6 Johnnies for that. So
what you're saying is put the glove on your dick like a Johnny?
Well, I mean, mine, I think, yeah.
You're only going to have to put it on the top of it. You're only catching the cum.
All right, okay, fair enough. I was thinking,
unless you're telling me that
I cock down one of the wee fingers.
Unless you're talking about, in some way, shape, or form, the fluid excretes out of all of the areas of your penis, and if it does, Jerry, go to the doctor. Well, just like a fucking sprinkler.
I had it in for months at a time, mate.
And then it fires out the pores in your cock.
No, I had it like a flute.
Why is there holes in your penis?
Aye. Did you ever tell you about that unfortunate incident with a sewing machine when I was a child?
I mean, that'd be a very unfortunate incident. Also,
I tried to sew my cock to my ball bag. Sorry, man, this is taking a turn for the worst.
Right, so other than the fact that, I don't take it. I don't take it you were going to be talking about wanking into gloves. So where were you going with that glove chat? Oh, I wear latex gloves when you go out. That's what
I was just getting a bit of public health advice, and just saying, take it seriously. Coronavirus is not a joke. No matter how many jokes we've told about coronavirus tonight.
I mean, like, we're not a good example. Right, that.
We are adhering to government policy.
I haven't left the house in so fucking long that I've lost my mind.
I'll probably have to go offshore next week because I'm considered a key worker and I have to get a compressor up and running to keep all your homes warm. But,
by blowing warm air in out of the compressor, each individual home. That's my actual job. I just go in, house to house. Just put the compressor through your letterbox. Warm air now. So that's good. So the Corona episode, that's us finished for that episode. So we're going to wrap this up here today, and we will hopefully get back in the next couple of days with something that's got nothing to do with viruses and shit, and it's actually a bit more cheery, whimsical, look around the world of news.
That's the plan. So we will do absolutely zero coronavirus even mentioned Roundup episode in the next certainly in the next like 5 days or so.
Caveat, unless like the fucking Queen or some shit dies yet, and then we're going to have to fucking mention it. Do you know what I mean? No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all fun and games until we find out that like Boris is going it or something like that. We're going to have to mention that. So unless something fucking ridiculous happens that we have to bring up, we'll no mention it at all.
Yeah, but we're not gonna talk about it to the length that we did tonight. There was something a bit cathartic about actually having a good fucking chat about it, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was nice to do something for you. We're kind of, and like, it's weird because I know Paul's like literally fucking 3 minutes away from here, but we've done this remotely because we can't even, like, we're not allowed to be with each other, sort of thing. So
their fucking families have said no. It's like we're fucking star-crossed lovers, and to be honest, like fucking
between supposed lovers. But you can always find us on notanotherfreaknewscast.com. What?
Can I also just say that that's a prime example of we literally do live, and I can 100%, because of where Jerry lives and where I live, I could walk to Jerry's and pretty much no one would even see me leave my house, because I would only have to walk by like 3 houses, and then I can walk down the path through the woods and through the park, and essentially nobody would be able to see me, and I could get in Jerry's back garden and nobody would fucking know that I've made that journey at all. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't pass another house. So I could do that. I mean, it would be psychotic, right? But I could have done that if I was trying to avoid being seen. And even if I actually just walked out of his house.
Are exhibiting symptoms. No one in our family is exhibiting symptoms. Fuck me, Jerry, speak properly.
No one in my family is exhibiting symptoms. Apart from Jerry's.
Are they similar to the symptoms of too much red wine? Anyway.
Apart from Jerry's stroke.
Nobody in either of our families are, like immediate families.
Yeah.
Exhibiting symptoms. And yet we chose to do this remotely and record this remotely because that's the sensible thing to do. Please, if you think this is a laugh, I don't think anybody that's listening to us is going to think this is a laugh. Don't be tempted to do pointless and have pointless interactions with people. It's just better to stay at home. At
PGMcast on Facebook, at PGMcast on Twitter. Drop us over an email, info@notanotherfakenewscast.com, mostly because it would be nice for you to email us through the spam madness that we receive from time to time at the present moment.
I'm like, fuck at the minute.
It's fucking crazy. Or you can... fucking drop us an email, come to the website, drop us over a message, we're about. And the thing is, if things are too much or stressful, if things are a bit shitty or whatever, drop us a message. Like, we talk shite all the time.
Our Discord's there. Paul's never on it anymore, but I'm on it. Notanotherfakenewscast.com is the website. There's stuff on there. As the lockdown continues, I might be tempted to write some more articles and stuff, or try and get some more people to put some stuff up there.
I'm going to try and make content on videos and podcast stuff. I'm going to try and get other stuff up because, well, we're in a fortunate enough situation that no cunt can say that they don't want interviewed because they're all stuck in the fucking house. We
have a partnership going with Bella Caledonia, which we've yet to formalise, but that's something that's going to be ongoing.
Again,
you've made it this far. We have lots of an interesting back catalogue. We've got a lot of really good interviews as well. We some interesting people, which I would recommend you take a look at. We are going to have a lot more of that stuff going forward also. And yeah, you know, we might be at
the Byline Festival, but it's probably not on. So
you're like the fucking Japanese guy who just today went, well, maybe we're not going to be able to have the Olympics.
It's so funny. We don't know yet what's going to happen with the Olympics. Well, I fucking know. Phone Paul. Paul will tell you what's happening with the Olympics.
I get notifications on my phone today saying, oh, the Japanese fucking I know the Olympics isn't on. The fucking European Championships isn't on. The fucking Olympic, the fucking Formula 1, nothing's on. We're all off.
Like, literally, what do you mean?
it's been postponed for a year. You're not having the fucking Olympics, you daft cunt.
Aberdeen were in the news saying it's going to impact our profits not having football games. Like, we fucking know it's going to impact. If these profits, like, I don't know if you're aware, but we can't fucking go to work. The whole fucking, like, McDonald's is fucking shut down, and you can't fucking, like, they've shut down fucking churches, synagogues, and mosques. They've shut down places of prayer. I don't even know if that's fucking happened in the history of fucking the UK ever before. Do you know what I mean? Like,
there was something quite poetic about the way you said they've shut down churches, synagogues, and mosques. It sounded like the start of a musical number.
That's it. I'm working on it, and to be honest, I'm kind of upset that you spelled it.
Churches, synagogues, and mosques. I don't know what the next line would be, but it would rhyme with mosques.
All right.
That's how songs work.
You notice how of all the words in the world that you have to try and find a rhyming word for, I'm not even going to try and find one for mosque, because there's a statistical chance I'm going to say something that will be offensive. Not deliberately, just because I'm trying to find a word that rhymes, and I'll say something, then it'll not be good. Go and know. Right now you're drawing a blank. I can't think of any word that rhymes with mosque. No, I get that. It's because it ends in like that, because it's got like an SQ ending, it's almost impossible to find a fucking rhyming word with.
Just like if your character had the speech impediment, you could rhyme it with cocks, but then that's.
But then you would find yourself with a fucking jihad on you or some shit, dude. So,
oh man, I was actually so. I don't know how I managed to miss it, but there's like 2 whole series of fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Aye, the 2 humans.
Yeah, there was obviously a massive gap. I was religious.
Wait. Is that still the episode?
Yeah, but we'll still record.
Aye, I just didn't know if this was like part of the episode, or if you were now just telling me a story.
I mean, I'm telling you a story, but our listeners might enjoy it also.
Okay.
So have you seen it's like the first episode of series 9 where he's written a musical called Fatwa? It's fucking amazing, man. Honestly, I was so, like, everything's been so bleak the past week or 2. Me and Michelle were both crying, laughing in the fucking living room watching this fucking, because it was just so ridiculous, and it was Larry Day, and I didn't even know there was new episodes of fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just everything was just delightful. It was a happy time. But yeah, like, everybody take care of yourselves. All our good buddies, fucking Steve, Gav, Paul, Elliot, fucking Lee, all the folk who have been listening to us for a long time and who keep in touch with us, man, fucking take care of yourselves. Anybody who listens and we're not in touch with, take care of yourselves, and try and stay positive. Look after your family. Don't go out if you don't need to, and keep in touch with us if you're that way inclined, and we'll ride it all out and we'll fucking get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, so the reason that I'm laughing is Jerry's doing that fucking heartfelt fucking ending, like, it's so nice and sincere. While he's doing it, I'm looking at the wee ticker at the bottom, just like 3 hours 24 minutes. What the actual fuck? If someone is listening to this last bit right now, it's just like, fucking fair play to you. See, if you're listening all the way to the end, go and email us, because I want to email you back to say thank you for listening all the way to the end of that fucking episode. Genuinely, it would be nice.
And if you have, also please share it on social media. Please write us a review. Please try and promote us in some way. I think we do. I mean, obviously the ones where it's just us talking, we fucking divulge, we go into mad tangents, we fucking do mental shit.
Fucking nonsense.
Our interviews are fucking, we have lots of different types of stuff that we do, and I think this has value also. And if you don't, fuck off. Right.
If you don't, you probably didn't hear this last bit anyway, so I don't fucking care. If you've listened to me for 3 hours talk fucking nonsense, then it's your own fucking fault. You could have gave up on this an hour ago. I regularly give up on podcasts.
Yeah. Peace out.
Yeah, cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Imagine all the people.